I'm going to call the Hollis Cooperative School District meeting to order at 6 p.m.
I'm going to call the co-op budget committee to order at 6 p.m. Just stating that this is a joint meeting with the school board to address and to conduct the public hearing for the FY27 warrant. Do you want to introduce your?
Yep, I think what we'll do is we'll just kind of go around, and if everybody could just make their introductions, state your name and which board you are on or what position you hold in the district. I will start with you, Mr. Solon.
Tom Solon, co-op school board and co-op school board member of the budget committee.
Thank you.
Cindy Van Conant, Co-op School Board.
Lauren DiGennaro, Assistant Superintendent of Student Services.
Dot Flaherty, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum and Instruction.
Lance Femino, Business Administrator.
Gina Bergskog, Superintendent.
Holly Drello Babcock, Hollis School Board Chair.
Darlene Mann, co-op budget committee chair.
Hollis School.
Raul Blanchet, Co-op Budget Committee Vice Chair.
Rob Mann, co-op school board.
Melanie LeBake, Co-op Budget Committee.
Tony Stinizzi, Co-op Budget Committee.
Beth Williams, Co-op School Board.
Patrick West, Principal of the Middle School.
Jacob Hess, Principal of the High School.
Great, thank you very much. So the first portion of the meeting, about the first half an hour, is really generally a school board business, but some of the items on here we thought the budget committee would be interested in, especially when we start to talk about the charter commission petition warrant article that is on the ballot. We thought that the budget committee might want to hear some details about that. So just I'm going to take the beginning of this. So agenda adjustments, I don't believe we have any, do we?
Nope.
Anything? Notifications of nominations, resignations, and correspondence.
I have one.
Oh, okay.
Dear leadership and Halls Brookline School Board members, with deepest gratitude for my quarter century teaching at Halls Brookline High School, I need to depart from a school I still love working at and a community I still feel honored to be part of. Family needs are such that I need to give my time there, so this is my official letter of retirement. I'd like to add a special thank you for this 0.6 year, which allowed me to see my advisees through to graduation, add to the English special ed classes, and support advisory for one more year. I also thank you for the opportunity to teach the sons and daughters of these two towns. It has meant so much to me to be a part of the journey from COVID-19 recovery to this year, where I see joy in our halls and in our students. Additionally, working for our present administrative team has been nothing but a pleasure. I'm grateful for feeling valued and respected. Thank you for all you do and all you have done to make the town schools the places they are for growing and learning. Sincerely, Lynn Illingworth, English and Writing Teacher.
Thank you. So we will need a motion to accept the letter of intent to retire received from Lynn Illingworth with an effective date of June 30th, is that right?
Correct.
2026.
So moved.
Moved by Beth. I need a second.
Second.
Second by Cindy. Any comments? I mean, we're grateful for her service and her time and her dedication to our students. I'm glad that she stayed for that 0.6 to kind of do the advisory thing. So, all those in favor? I think we're at 5. 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
4, 5. 5-0. Great. Motion carries. Okay. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay. So I'd like to appoint a process observer for the school board. Is there anyone willing to raise their hand for that? I don't see anyone. Tom, thank you. And then we have some minutes to approve. So I need a motion to accept as amendment with the following amendments for the Hollis Brookline School Board minutes of January 21st, 2026. The amendments are page 13, line 20, district shall be plural. Page 13, line 21, replace her with here. Page 14, line 38, correct the spelling of board. And page 14, line 45, replace 4H with 4, numerical 4H, not 4H as in 4. Okay. Any comments on that? All those in favor?
Was there a motion?
5-0. Oh, yeah. No, I need a motion, actually.
So moved.
Moved by Beth. Need a second?
Rob?
Second?
Yes.
And all those in favor? 5-0. Great. All right. And then I need a motion to accept the non-public minutes from January 21st, 2026. as presented?
So moved.
Moved by Rob,
Second.
second by Cindy. Any comments? All those in favor? That's 5-0. 5? You're abstaining. So all those in favor, can I do that again? All right, I've got 5. Any noes? Any abstentions? 1. So 5-0-1, motion carries. And just a note to Dawn, Amy Kellner is joining us. She's a member of the Hollis Brookline School Board, and she is joining us at 6:06. Thank you for getting that. Thanks. All right, so moving on to discussion items. We have first our co-op calendar.
In your packet this evening, you'll find the draft calendar for next school year to look at, and we'll vote on at our next meeting. You'll notice that we're starting later this year, so the teacher flex day is August 28th, and their first teacher day is August 31st, and that's because Labor Day is so late this year.
But we are still starting before Labor Day,
We are starting before Labor Day, but
as we always have.
we tried to move it earlier, but that contractually we couldn't do it.
Great. Are there any questions on the calendar?
Just a comment on it. It really, when you're looking at the end, I understand. I looked at it. I understand where Labor Day falls, but I've also looked at some of the other proposed in other school districts. It's killing me that the last day is like the 24th, 25th, and that's like if we get a few snow days beyond what we build in, like we're so close to July. Like I'm just really concerned about that, and if there's any alternatives, ways to get the minutes in the day. Like I also come from different states and different schools, so I don't know exactly how we do, but I know in our other states we added a minute to, there's ways we were able to be flexible, but it just really makes me nervous looking at this. It's just like we're going to run into July.
Yep, absolutely. And our neighboring districts for the first time, because obviously this comes up every 6 years or so, our neighboring districts did make the switch to the week before, but both our co-op and our Hollis collective bargaining agreements have language that says we cannot start the Monday prior to Labor Day. And so I reached out to them hoping to have a sidebar, and it just, there were too many conflicts already with the switch. So this is what we have. But I fully understand what you're saying.
I think we're going to get more feedback on that too. Just, when people realize, maybe not right away, but when people realize.
Well, as this is a public meeting and we are not voting on it until next month, you know, we encourage public comment on all sorts of items, and so the calendar is in the agenda. It's attached to the agenda packet, so the proposed calendar, right? So it's easy to find. Are there any other comments on that?
I guess the question is, what's the total number of days that this calendar provides? How many school days?
The same as it typically does. So 178 plus 5 snow days built in, so 183.
So there isn't a lot of room to, it's not like we've got any kind of padding in there either.
Correct. This is the calendar we typically see. The difference is the Labor Day so late.
In the past, we've sometimes gone a little bit higher, but our contracts are pretty tight right now.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, so moving on, we have, and if there's no further comment on that, we have a data presentation from Tom Solon, and it's in your agenda packet as well if you need to see it.
I can make it work.
I hope so.
While that's getting set up, I just wanted to make a note for Dawn as well that Brian Rader arrived at 6:08.
Okay, welcome.
The only issue is going to be, I don't know, people here over here.
Do you want me to? Oh.
You need a mic.
I don't think it'll reach.
I think that's pretty close. There you go. So it's going to be behind you, Brian.
Am I obstructing anybody's view?
No.
Okay. This presentation was prompted in part by recent discussions that have occurred both within our board and with input from the public. As you all know, there is the New Hampshire DOE website publishes data on the various schools' performances, and this is in response to that. This is a snapshot of the assessment data that is presented on the DOE website. The meaningful information is that this is supposed to represent the percentage of each class that scored proficient or above proficient. I'm not sure what the exact terminology is. Is that what is above proficient or?
Proficient.
On a scale of 1 to 4. So 3 and 4 are proficient and above proficient. 1 and 2 are below proficient. How they take the data of the test results and convert it into percentages is not specified, but this is the information that's presented to the public. And we've had concerns expressed by the low ratings that have been achieved, especially, in my opinion, there's been a lot of focus on the science grades. So how is average score calculated? Going back to probably middle school math, maybe even elementary school math, the way you calculate an average is you take all of the results, add them together, and divide by the number of participants in the event. So in this case, you would take all the student scores, add them together, and divide by the number of students tested. And that's what I think most people have in their mind when they look at the data on the website. So the key point that I want to point out here is the number of students tested in the denominator. That's, one would think, the number of people who actually took the test. But going back to 1965 with the federal law that brought about the testing, it says here, include in the denominator the greater of 95% of all such students or of the subgroup. And the issue there is that they're really wanting to make sure that everybody takes the test so that they have valid data. And it makes sense. So the New Hampshire DOE carries that through in their instructions for the state of New Hampshire. And again, it's got the results. It says you will be tested assuming that at least 95% of all your students are tested. So here's the snag. Instead of using the number of students tested, you have to use the results based on 95% of the students that were eligible to be tested, whether 95 took the test or not. And I'm just surmising, but I'm guessing that this was put in there as a motivation. This is the stick, not the carrot, the stick to get districts to make sure that all their students are tested and arrange it properly. We've got a little snag here in New Hampshire. We have rights. And one of those rights that parents have is that they can opt their students out of taking the test. So RSA says that we have to provide that option to all parents and guardians. So understanding the rule, so on the one hand, we have to create our published results based on a 95% participation because we want to have everyone tested. But we have to allow for students who don't want to take the test to not take the test. Here's what we have in our district. That red line is the 95% level. You can see that there are significant instances where the opt-out is well beyond 5% of our student eligible population, and particularly in the sciences. It's very obvious there that the most recent year, it was actually 35% of our juniors chose not to take the test. Now, why would people not take the test? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Potentially, the overlapping time frame is one of them. We have AP testing done in the same time frame, college boards. Students may have other coursework. But another big thing is there's no apparent value to our students to taking the test. These are not what would be categorized as high-stakes tests. You know, things like college boards and other things that affect a grade or admissions or some other qualification are considered high-stakes tests by the students. This is not categorized. There are no obvious repercussions to taking the test or even doing well on the test. And in fact, it's possible that the opt-out actually lowers the average score of students who do participate. Why might that be? Well, we looked to see, do a disproportionate number of our students who are in accelerated classes choose not to opt out. Looking at the data for that, you can see, particularly in grade 11 science testing, for the past 3 years, at least 25%, and in some cases in 2023, about almost 50% of the students who opted out are students that are taking AP and advanced courses. So one could make the argument that some of our students who are most likely to perform well in the test aren't taking the test. So what's the impact of the 95% rule and the opt-out? Well, let's say we had 200 students taking the test and 4%, 8 students chose not to. In that case, we do not violate the 95% rule. So if the average score was 3.4 out of a possible 4, which is a very good score, the posted data would also be the 3.4 score. But let's take the example of 40 students opting out. That's 20%. In that case, the adjusted score would be 2.9 versus on a scale of 4, which is actually below proficient. And to carry it one step further, God forbid 35% opted out, you're looking with the same average score from the participants, you're looking at a reported score that correlates to 2.5. So you've got the same average score for the students tested, but high opt-out rates lead to much lower reported scores on the website for the DOE. So one of the questions that I have, and I think it's shared by others, is who should establish the measures and thresholds of proficiency? What does proficiency actually mean? The state and federal standards are tied to funding, but are the things that are being evaluated in the standardized testing the same things that are important to our students and our parents? And do they represent critical performance? I can't answer that. I have my own opinions, but I think it's a question that we as a district need to look at with greater care. So what matters most in a school system? From many things that we've read, that we've been told, one of the most important things is to keep students in school. No matter how good the school is, how good the program is, how great the curriculum is, if they're not there, it's not doing its job. Let's successfully complete the school system. Let's get the kids to graduation. And school is a gateway to life. I mean, the fact is, we want our students to graduate with the knowledge, the tools, and the capability to be successful after they leave our school system. How do we do? Well, in terms of keeping the students in school, we do very well. Truancy rate, which is, for our data, is students who have 10 or more unexcused absences in a school year. Is that the correct term? That's considered in this data. As opposed to on the website, they just talk about people who are absent for half a day or more throughout the school year for whatever reason. So absenteeism is not the same as truancy. In a middle school, for the 3-year average, we're less than half of 1%. And in the high school, we're less than 2% over 3 years. And our dropout rate is very low. It's 0.113%. Our 4-year graduation rate is similarly very good number, 95%. And if you look at where our students are headed after they leave us, 88% last year were headed to college, 2- and 4-year college after graduation. Not quite 2% entering the military, and 7.4% entering the workforce. This is based on self-reported data. So this is what the students are telling us where they're headed. I think those are pretty good results. Now, there are other possible indicators of success that we could use. We have dual credit enrollment as something that we measure. We've done surveys in the past, and we can do surveys in the future on satisfaction. We can look at what people are saying about it once they've completed the program. I suspect that the satisfaction rate would be decent, but it's something that we could do. We have alternative testing, and these are scores that we do get. The PSATs, SATs, and achievement tests are quite common. Less common are the ACT, there's some AP tests, and the International Baccalaureate. We in fact use the SAT in-school testing for our junior year testing, but it only applies to the English language arts section and the math section. It doesn't have the science component in it that the state requires. So in summary, it's my feeling that the state published proficiency data are tainted by ignoring the opt-out allowance. The proficiency ratings are flawed, and they're not universally accepted as true indicators of competency. Now, we can't not report, but perhaps we can find other metrics that may be better measures of success for our students in schools. So thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much.
Now, one of the questions that I have is whether any portion of this is viewed as information that we should consider presenting in its current form or altered form at the annual meeting.
So why don't you have a seat and we can talk about it a little
Okay.
bit.
Any need to leave it up?
I don't know, do people feel like they're gonna need to see anything again? So I just wanna make sure if there are any questions for Tom, I'd like that, and I welcome budget committee questions as well.
I have a question.
Okay.
What are we doing to minimize the dropouts and the 4% or less that doesn't achieve success?
Dropouts. Our dropout rate is like 0.13%, right? So what do we do to try to prevent that?
For people who say we gotta still try to do better.
Okay. That's a good question.
Were you referring to the 4-year graduation rate of 95.05%?
Referring to the 6 or 8 people that don't succeed according to what we expect.
So does the dropout, does that include kids who, for graduation rate, does that include kids who take the high step?
So that's a diploma rating, and it's if you complete in 4 years. So if you complete the summer after or the fall after, you're not counted in there. If you are with us till age 22, you are not counted as graduating in your 4-year cohort. So it excludes a lot of the possible tracks that we have.
That could still end up in success.
Correct. Absolutely.
So that needs to be pointed out.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Tony?
I have a question. When we look at the data and we try to analyze why our standardized testing scores are looking lower, wouldn't you say the same reasons apply to maybe every other school that has the same kind of profile that Hollis Brookline High School has? So that should be kind of a normalizing factor if what's happening here is happening in other places. The best of the kids are tied up with the other tests.
Good, it's a good point, Tony, and towards that idea, if you look at us, our performance, we do above average for the state. So yes, in all likelihood, most school districts are having the same situation, and their performance, as reported on the website, is quite possibly less than would be indicated if not for the 95% rule.
And the state doesn't report the opt-out rates per school district.
They do now.
They do now.
And so you can look. And so I'm actually on the accountability task force to revisit performance-based accountability for the state of New Hampshire. And, other districts will say, oh, our opt-outs are so high, we're at 6%. And I'm like, well, we're at above 30%. So we are far out of the norm, even though it's a possibility everywhere. And part of that, I think, is that our community is intelligent and understands the rights that are available to families and act on those rights.
I think that's going to be an important thing to do to change that, because like the budget committee, when they calculate, year over year, metrics and stuff, they often use adjusting for inflation or something like that. So you're apples to apples comparing. So if they, on the website, provides the opt-out rate, you can correct for that rate. Knowing the opt-out and knowing how things are calculated, you can do a apples to apples by checking your, and at least considering your opt-out rate to get the real numbers.
Unfortunately, I tried doing that, and what the missing link is, you have to get back to the raw scores to do it, because there's no clear and obvious connection between the number that they show on the website as percentage of proficiency and what the scores were on the testing that they took and how that got converted to a proficiency level. We don't have that black box code to know how it would work. On low percentages, you can infer, but I tried doing it with a 35% loss rate, and if I just tried to back calculate the ratio, it comes up with an average score of almost 6, which isn't possible. So that method is not at least intuitively obvious, and I have a pretty good math background. I think there's data missing.
So you're saying there's no opportunity for us to calculate that based on our own local metrics and make that available?
I couldn't find it. I don't know whether the district has all the raw scores, number one, and the formula for converting a raw score into a proficiency rating for the specific tests that are done. Those are the two factors that aren't available to the public.
So all this, to my mind, explains the confusion that when we get people coming to our mic at any given meeting, comes before us with this data, basically proclaiming they have the insight that for some reason we don't have, right? And we're often told, here are the metrics, you're doing horribly. And this is a conversation I think we have every year. And we understand what you have greatly pointed out, so other people, but this fact and the way they do the calculation is well known with the co-op's members of this board.
We know what we don't know, but we don't know the result.
Well, and the other thing that we know, and and that's why there was a push about 8 years ago to move to the SAT as the state test, is we know anecdotally, because we know teenagers, that if it doesn't matter to them, if it doesn't impact their grades, if it doesn't impact their college or anything, or getting a job, some kids are probably going to really care because they really care, but a lot of kids aren't. And so we switched to using the SAT as a state, school day SAT test as our state test because we knew more kids would opt in and maybe care. And I'm not trying to say kids don't care, but I'm just, we know that. We know the psychology of teenagers. And so we do have that. We have our SAT scores. We look at those regularly. We post them on the school profile. They are compared to the New Hampshire average. They are compared to the US average. They are higher. So we have that information, but we also don't know, and maybe you know this, what the state considers a proficient SAT score. Do we know what that is? Like, we don't know that, or do we know? What do they determine is a proficient SAT score? Because they change it to a percentage.
Right.
So, for example, our SAT scores are on our school profile, and in English, our kids have the mean SAT score of the school day SAT, and I'm saying that because those of you who haven't done this is not the self-reported score after a kid has taken it 3 times. This is the score that they take on the day that everyone takes it. The whole school, the whole junior class takes it on one day in March. It's a free offering. They get to take a free College Board, and they take it, I think, in March, right? Is it in March?
March or April.
March or April. Sorry, okay. And so that's the same day test. Our mean on that is a 578 for English. The mean for class of 2025, the mean for New Hampshire was a 514, and the mean for the US was a 494. In math, our mean was a 548. The New Hampshire mean was a 480, and the US mean was a 470. So it's hard to say we're not doing well. I mean, those are nice scores. And then we also have, as I brought up last month, we have AP testing. And so our teachers are taught, they work hard to get our kids ready for a certain test. And that's the AP test. And that's a college level class that kids take, and they can get, if they get a qualifying score, they can actually get credit for that class in college. And so a 3 is considered a qualifying score, and I'm not saying that every school and every college you get a 3 and you get credit. All the colleges have different takes. Sometimes you need 4, sometimes you need 5, but a 3 is considered a qualifying score in a lot of schools. And in 2025, 90% of our students got a 3 or above in AP classes. So
And-
those are important indicators that we need to talk about more, and we need people to understand, and that's in the school profile that we get handed, but it's on our website under, I think it's in the counseling department. And then there's
It's on
all
the front Hollis Brookline High School page, school profile.
Okay, and then, and then there's also all the indicators, and this is public information about what, what percentages. Tom, you got the percentages of where our kids are going right on that,
So just to expand on that, if I may, the roles of a school board is in many instances to oversee effort and time that we invest and our administrators put into certain things. So we are trying to use better metrics so we can place time and effort and identify issues to fix something if we see things going sideways. Using the wrong type of data could cause us to go down the wrong avenue, spend a lot of time and effort trying to fix something that's not broken because we're using the wrong measure. So this is clearly, to my mind, with 95% of our graduates going to a 4-year college.
it's 88% going to college, 95% graduate on top.
Graduate, okay. So it's even higher than that. It stands to reason that you use something like the SATs as the measure to see if there's any deficiencies that we have to focus on if something seems broken. So that's why we use it instead of maybe a state evaluation that could cause us to make decisions that don't make sense.
I just want to clarify something. If you look back at the history of why the testing takes place, the real emphasis of the program that initiated it was to monitor progress, not not just scores. So it
Yeah.
was to look at, for particularly in underperforming areas, are they getting better? So there is a reason behind a somewhat sound methodology behind what is being collected. The problem that we run into is twofold. One is our state allowance for opt-out somewhat corrupts the data. And on top of that, I don't think people are looking at it with the intent of the data, which is watch a diagonal on the chart, which is a cohort of students moving through the system, and look to see whether their grade level proficiency increases. The problem that we run into is, as they get older, the opt-out rate's increasing, so again, it's distorting the data.
And you can argue that as they get older, they're tired of taking these tests, you know, and they're not necessarily as serious about them. But even, I don't want to discount the tests or discount the concerns. I do think that, you know, we're always concerned about testing. We want to pay attention to that. But we also really want to look at our curriculum, what our teachers are, what the standards are, what our teachers are teaching, talk to our staff. And that's why we have a grading and assessment committee that hasn't been really up and running, but we need to get that back going to be looking at how are we grading, how are we assessing, because that's the other thing that we can be looking at. We can be looking at grades as a metric, we can be looking at how kids are doing in their actual classes. And that's what kind of matters at the end of the day, too. Yes, Melanie?
Yes, thank you. So it seems like someone else is setting these metrics for us, so we have to show these metrics, correct?
Yes.
Can't we have our own set of metrics that take out the opt-out folks, just for FYI?
Yeah, and so this summer we'll be revealing our data dashboard. So that will include what we typically see and report. It will include a lot of what you see in the school profile. It will include data that we put together that we value as a school district, and I think that'll tell a little bit more of the story. But I also want to point out that the high school was just recognized last month, we came to the board meeting, as an AP school honor roll due to increasing AP class enrollment. So we are also not targeting a small number of students to take these high classes. We're saying, everybody, take these classes, challenge yourself, and they're still performing at a really high rate on the AP exam. So to me, that tells the story.
The second part I wanted to add was that I think this is very important information, because I go to other towns and I hear the same thing, our test scores are lower. Well, if people understand that you're adding in zeros with 95s, of course the average is going to be lower. So this is really important.
So, like Tom asked the question of the board, and is this something that we feel like needs to be presented at the annual meeting? That's what you asked, right? Didn't you ask that?
Some of it.
I can't be that long.
Yeah.
It's too long. Yeah, it has to be shorter because we just don't have a lot of time and we don't want to take people's time. Yes.
I didn't want to jump into the conversation to say anything about proficiency, because I could go on about it, and that's like a whole other discussion. I wanted to just thank Tom for the details of this, and I do think it should be a part of the annual meeting in a short, quick way, and I think it should be ongoing to explain that. I am unapologetically a parent who's been opting my kids out for 14 years across multiple states, and for a lot of reasons. A lot of the reasons Tom listed, some are different states. The first state, they included our student test scores directly into teacher evaluation, which I wholeheartedly objected to for a lot of these same reasons. So there's a lot of reasons, and with more education, the more I learn across the different school districts I've had my children in, I'm happy with the decision. So it's really important to me to share this information, because every state, these things are, skewed, and it makes it really important for people to understand, because I think we all hear that of how our test scores are and how that impacts things, and it's used to sway voters in one direction or another, and I think it's just really important to share this information so people understand where those numbers are coming from. So
Thank you.
I think it's super important.
Anything else from the board? Because I'm looking at the time. So
Yeah, just a quick comment. I looked at the numbers too, and I'm concerned about it, and I understand, but there's a group of students that, those that seek employment and those that take a gap year. And I look at them, and it's only about 8 kids in the school out of 177. There's got to be a way, maybe there's a way, to follow up with those students a year or two out. And even the best and brightest that go on to higher education, some of the best schools, find out from them how they're performing based on what they've learned at Hollisbrook High School. And the same thing for the kids that are gapping and looking for employment. Are they now, after a year or two, deciding to go back to school? And can they do it? And are they doing well?
That's a question that's been brought up many times. How do we follow up? And it has to be a voluntary, survey. It has to be voluntary. It has to be people willing to do that. And so it's a bit of an undertaking, but thank you for suggesting it.
Even a random sample, just to get an idea.
Yeah, that would be great.
Because we may be doing better than we think in a lot of areas.
So I think what I'd like to do with the chair of the budget committee's permission and the board's permission is move on to the public hearing. Would we do it that way and then come back to the charter commission question after the public hearing? Does that work for everybody? We have information about the charter commission PWA that's on the ballot, the official ballot of March 10th, and we can go over that after we do the public hearing. I think that makes more sense. So I guess I'll just call a motion to go to the public hearing.
You have to recess.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so I need a motion that the board recess until the conclusion of the public hearings. There will be 2, back to back.
There'll be 2 public hearings?
Yes, we're separating that out. We'll explain.
So moved.
So moved by Amy. I need a second. Second by Beth. Okay, all those in favor? Okay, that is 6-0. So the board is recessed at 6:42.
And at 6:42, I'll take a similar motion of the Budget Committee to recess until the conclusion of the public hearings.
Make a motion.
Motion by Raoul, seconded by Tony. All those in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5, 0, 0. Okay.
And I'm turning it over to Darla.
Okay, so before we officially open the public hearing, I wanted to just take a few minutes. It's something I do, share some information with the community, just some metrics and some things we look at before we get into the financial implications of the warrant that we'll be talking about in March, and the individual articles that we'll be addressing this evening. So just give us a minute.
Sorry.
No, that's okay.
My job.
Just got the presentation.
She has. So while we bring that up, essentially we'll have a warrant this year of 11 articles. And there we are. The first 5 have stated financial impacts, so we'll be looking at the SAU budget. The co-op portion of that will be a little over $1.2 million. An operating budget of $31,716,292. The second year of the support staff contract, valued at $131,512. A facilities maintenance trust of $300,000, and a contingency of $125,000, for a total of $33,503,298, which is a 4.2% increase over the current budget that we're operating under for FY26. There is an additional article addressing open enrollment, which we'll talk about later. That doesn't have a stated financial impact. And there are 5 petition articles to address, including scores and rankings on the website, adopting SB2, adopting a budget cap, putting the tax impact on the warrant, and adopting a tax cap. So just to give a little overview of co-op enrollment, the information in red is the trended information, the forward-looking view that we received from NASDAQ. Currently, we're operating under an enrollment level of 1091 for FY26, and essentially looking at that to be flat into FY97 with just a very slight increase of 3 students. And actually, The increase projected over 5 years isn't suggesting any big marked increase. These numbers do change on an annual basis. And what we've seen over time using NASDAQ data is sometimes a magnitude change, but the trend is usually correct. So over the next 5 years, at least for the co-ops, so that's for the middle school and high school, we're looking for relatively flat to very slightly increasing enrollment. That enrollment is split between Hollis and Brookline as the two contributing towns to the district. Looking at FY27, we're looking at a 53% Hollis, 47% Brookline distribution, which is relatively consistent with where we are for this year. The only time that we got close to the kind of the 50-50 split and kind of an even distribution of students was back in the FY17 kind of to FY19 timeframe, but since then it's been steadily a majority of Hollis over 50%, and that's projected to continue through FY31. On a cost per pupil basis, we on a historical basis, the co-op has always underrun the state average cost per pupil. What we did see looking at FY25 is a 3% increase over the state average. So with the cost per pupil coming in at $23,000, a little over $400 versus $22,700 for the state. When we look at the budget and taxes, this chart is just intended to emphasize that what you approve as a budget isn't what you are taxed on. The tax effort that directly impacts your tax bill is an amount that is lower than the budget itself. The budget is reduced by revenue and adequacy aid in both towns, and based on the unreserved fund balance that was returned to the taxpayers as a result of coming in under budget and having a little bit of excess revenue in FY25. For the current year, we came in about $700,000 below what we estimated for the tax effort for the year we're in right now. So last year we were estimating $25.1 million, and we're actually at $24.4 for the current year, not the future year. So as I mentioned, those things that reduce the budget and impact the tax effort are revenue and state aid. And as we look toward FY27, there is a decrease of approximately $275,000 in revenue that's anticipated, and that's due to a lower expectation on unreserved fund balance. We do tend to be a little bit conservative, and as I mentioned, the amount that was returned to the taxpayers as a result of reducing tax effort for the current year is higher than what we were projecting for FY27 by about that $275,000. So that's the main contributor to the reduced revenue. The district no longer receives building aid as a result of concluding our, I believe it was the middle school that was the last school getting building aid. So we no longer have outstanding debt on the middle school, no longer receive building aid. For state aid comes to the districts in two parts. One is through an adequacy grant, and one is through the statewide education property tax. The amounts are different for each community, and as you see looking into FY27, Hollis will have a reduction in its total state aid by just under $90,000 less than what we received this year. Brookline will have an increase of over $400,000 just for the co-op. One of the main things driving the increase in Brookline's aid next year is something called fiscal disparity aid, which is a new, or I would say returning component to adequacy. What Brookline will be receiving in total for its whole community is just shy of $850,000 in fiscal disparity aid. That amount of money gets split between the Brookline School District and the co-op. So that $445,000 additional is mostly due to the fiscal disparity aid. It is, related. Actually, the average daily membership they're projecting for Brookline and some component parts. It's based on students in addition to disparity aid, but it's that fiscal disparity aid that's the main driver to that $400,000 increase in aid for Brookline. looking at just a summary of impacts. So while that aid helps to offset the increases in the budget and the lower co-op revenue, it isn't enough to reduce the tax effort to below a point where we are today. So as a result of the projected budget, the anticipated revenue and aid, we're looking at an increase in tax effort of about 5.3% for the co-op. Apportionment is the way we split the cost between the two communities. It's based on a formula that includes students through average daily membership. The equalized value is ratio is used in distributing capital costs that have long-term debt assigned to them, yielding a net apportionment percentage of 55% to Hollis, 44.8% to Brookline. Once adequacy is taken into consideration, the local tax effort estimates look at distribution of tax efforts as 57% for Hollis and 43% for Brookline. And putting that into the split between the two communities, we're starting with the total 33.5 million, reduce that by co-op revenue, and at that third line bolded that says net to be apportioned is the point where the apportionment formula is applied. So at that point, Hollis kind of base to calculate its tax effort is estimated to be around 17.3 million, and Brookline's about 14 million. Then you see there each town has that amount reduced by its individual, the state aid that's estimated for each community to arrive at a local tax effort. So for Hollis, there's a tax effort estimated at $14.6 million, which would yield a local tax rate on included in your tax bill of $6.22 per thousand. The amount that's currently in the bills that were just sent out at the end of the year is $5.94 for the co-op. So that $6.22 is a direct replacement of that $5.94. It isn't in addition to. You essentially take out $5.94 and put in $6.22 as the co-op portion for Hollis. That would be a 4.7% increase on the co-op portion of a Hollis tax bill. That co-op portion is 31% of your total tax rate, which yields a 1.5% increase in your tax bill. So basically that increase of 28 cents per thousand is reflective of a 1.5% increase on a Hollis bill. In Brookline, the calculated amount of $9.39 per thousand, or like 33 cents higher than the tax rate that is on the bills right now, is a 3.6% increase on the co-op local tax rate. So again, taking out $9.06 from your current bill, replacing that with $9.39. For Brookline, the co-op represents a slightly higher percentage of the total tax bill, of about 38%. It's been a relatively consistent percentage over time, and what that yields for an impact to the total tax bill in Brookline is an increase of 1.4%. So just so at this point, I'll open the public hearing at 6:54 p.m. This will be the public hearing for, it's actually Articles 1 through 5 of the original warrant, and then the school board will take over and conduct a public hearing on Articles 6 through 11. In both, the specific petition articles require hearings in both towns, so tonight's will serve for the one in Hollis, and tomorrow is the one in Brookline.
And that's at 3:30, right?
3 p.m. at RMMS.
3
p.m. at RMMS.
Okay.
So this evening's public hearing is intended to introduce articles with stated financial impact that will be voted on at our meeting in March. We are looking for public input per article, and afterwards the budget committee and the school board will be making their recommendations on the articles themselves. What we'll share at the annual meeting is a 10% maximum allowable appropriation. Once everything is, completed, put forward, and calculated, there is a maximum allowable amount. For public input itself, It is restricted to Hollis and Brookline residents of legal voting age. Exceptions are made for administration or others as necessary for clarification. Recognizing input on a per article basis. Please state your name and address for the record. Questions should be directed to the chair with a speaking time of 2 minutes that cannot be yielded. And you may speak again to an article once all others have had an opportunity. And please be brief if your point has been substantially made by others. There was new legislation enacted that requires the SAU budget to be the first article presented on our warrant, and that's what we're doing here with Article 1. Shall the district vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,230,494 as the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District's portion of the SAU budget of $2,560,328 for the forthcoming fiscal year? This year's adjusted budget of $2,540,642 with $1,221,033 assigned to the school budget of the school district will be adopted if the article does not receive a majority vote of all of the school district voters voting in the school administrative unit. The estimated tax impact for Hollis is 30 cents per thousand and 45 cents per thousand for Brookline. As many of you may know, the SAU budget is the one article that you get to vote on in 2 communities. So you'll vote in each, Hollis has a separate portion of the SAU budget, Brookline has a portion, and this is the co-op portion. So you get to cast a vote in Hollis or Brookline and then at the co-op. And since we are last, our moderator will be able to share the results of the vote on this article at the district meeting. So just to give some highlights, so there is an SAU budget committee that meets with the administration to work on evaluating the budget that's proposed. It's the members include school board members from each district, a member of the governing board, the treasurer of the governing board, as well as budget committee or finance committee representation from each district as well. So that process takes place in the, I would say, September, October timeframe, September, October, November. The individuals that participate on that committee take the draft budgets back to their individual boards, discuss the elements, bring any input back to the committee itself. And this budget had a public hearing at the governing board meeting in December, where it was discussed and approved to be move forward in total across the district. Did I capture that? So here what we're seeing is a change of about just shy of $122,000 moving into FY27 with an adjusted budget, which is a 5% change off from the budget that we have right now in total. The major drivers on this budget is for the staff at 4 Lund Lane. So I believe it's 19 individuals, and it's really a salary and benefit driven budget. The increases total just $67,693 for salary changes, benefit changes of just shy of $45,000 as the district is looking at increases in health insurance rates of just over 15% and dental insurance of 4.4%. And then some other smaller increases in operation maintenance costs and equipment and software. So at this time, I'll welcome public input on Article 1 for the SAU budget. Okay, seeing none, I'll close public input on Article 1 and move on to Article 2, the operating budget, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $31,716,292 for the support of schools, for the payment of salaries for school district officials and agents, and for the payment of statutory obligations of the district. This appropriation does not include appropriations voted in other warrant articles, majority vote required. And in all these cases, the school board and budget committee will be taking their positions a little bit later this evening. So for Hollis, the estimated tax impact is $5.99 per thousand, and Brookline $9.04 per thousand. So looking at just in general, year over year, we're looking at a just over $1.1 million increase, or a 3.8% increase in the operating budget moving into FY27. As the Budget Committee goes through its process of working with the administration to work through the details of the budget before you this evening, we have a pretty strict guidance process which enables us to identify a target for the administration to work toward. That guidance amount is, we like to have preliminary guidance recommended in October. We finalize in November, and it really does, what we've seen over the years is that it's a formula and the outcome that enables the district to work toward something the Budget Committee has looked at as, a reasonable expectation of increases or changes in the budget that we would support. The guidance budget that we evaluate is something less than the budget that's currently in place. We start with the FY26 budget. We reduce it by certain elements that are going to be increasing outside of CPI. So we have contracted increases like the San Bernard's contract for the professional staff. We have documented a legal obligation to certain levels of debt service, and we know what those changes are going to be. And special education costs we tend to evaluate outside of a strict CPI-related change because there are so many things that can impact a change to special education. So when looking at the guidance budget for the co-op, looking at FY27, we applied a factor that was less than CPI and resulted in a 2% increase on this lower budget. Having done that and put that forward, the district was able to come in $377,000 below our guidance of just over $32 million. So there was a lot of prioritization that took place with the administration, and this is, I can't remember the last time the district, since we put in this guidance process, ever missed the guidance number that the Budget Committee has put forward. And if we do have to make adjustments to guidance, it's with a lot of thoughtful consideration to extraneous circumstances and things that the Budget Committee evaluates if it's going to shift from guidance at all. As a Budget Committee, we wanted to recognize that the administration worked really hard to come in that far below guidance this year. There was discussion at the Budget Committee level to reduce guidance to a lower amount because the number came in lower, and why don't we just reduce guidance? But we didn't feel that that would really recognize the efforts that the administration made to fall below guidance. And similarly, they didn't come back and say, well, let's just meet guidance and put this money back in. They really did prioritize, make solid decisions, and and stuck with the budget that we're looking at for the upcoming year. So for the major increases and decreases, there are several key areas that we really are just facing significant non-discretionary increases, and one of them is the increase to bonds of over $500,000. So if you recall, there were two bonds passed for the FY26 at the FY26 district meeting. The first year cost of those bonds is always interest-based only. So as we move to FY27, we're looking at a budget that includes payments that are comprised of both principal and interest. So that's the reason for the significant increase of $529,000. Next year, we have no bonds on the warrant for FY27. Next year, there will not be a significant increase at all for bonds, and we'll start to see them trend down, and in a few years, we'll actually see some of the older bonds and leases that the district has start to fall off in about 3 or 4 years. For benefits, as I mentioned, for the SAU budget, the same is true in the co-op district. The increase in insurance costs is estimated to be 15.1%, or another $500,000 increase, $510,926. That increase is firm. It's been put forward by Health Trust and will not change after the district meeting. There have been years where we've been given, actually I should take out the GMR, which refers to the guaranteed maximum rate. That is going to be the increase in rates that the district will see. In prior years, we've had estimates come in at, through the fall, and then usually right after district meeting, we get the actual percentage changes in healthcare costs that the district will have to absorb. The risk pools have gone away from that model and are holding firm and they give us the rate increase in the fall, and there's no change in the spring. We have contracted increase on the professional staff, and we're looking at a $227,000 increase in that category. We're going to be doing some additional field maintenance and seeing some higher costs for facilities rentals and athletics. And for facilities themselves, while there was a lot of prioritization of projects and things that will be pushed out to later years, that $391,000 that's we're looking at in the FY27 budget is for things for both the middle and high school, to work on flooring, exterior cleaning, ductwork cleaning, improving, replacing ceiling tiles, which is a phased approach, buying floor machines for each school, and many other things actually. But again, a lot of significant prioritization went into arriving at the $391,000. Other new items, actually year over year, reflects a decrease of $191,000. And so the district really did cut back on some of the requirements in classroom equipment, laptops, security cameras. Those things are all included in the $192,000 that is being put forward. But some of the amounts were reduced, and some of the, as I said, other things will be pushed out and phased in later years. And for student services, we see a pretty significant decrease of $318,000 due to program changes and changes in student population, individualized education plans, and kind of to address the needs of those students. So at this time, I'll open the floor to public input on Article 2. Seeing no one rise, I will close public input on Article 2 and move on to the support staff contract to see if the school district will vote to approve the cost items for the first year of it. Sorry, that should say second year. I don't know how many times I went through this presentation. For the second year of a 3-year collective bargaining agreement reached between the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School Board and the Hollis Education Support Staff Association for the 25-26, 26-27, and 27-28 school years, which calls for the following increases in support staff salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels. So for the 26-27 fiscal year, the estimated increase is $131,512. And further, to raise and appropriate a sum of $131,512 for the second fiscal year, 26-27 school year, such sum representing the additional cost attributable to the increase in support staff salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be paid at current staffing levels, majority vote required. Passing this article would result in an estimated increase in the tax rate for Hollis of 3 cents per thousand and for Brookline 5 cents per thousand. So just briefly, I think there'll be more, there might be more information shared, but this is just a brief overview of, and I ask the school board to jump in at any time. For the salary increases that's proposed is an on-step increase of 2.75% plus movement of 1 step on the table, and anyone off-step would be seeing an increase of about 3.4%. There are some increases in the dollar caps assigned for single, 2-person, and family plans, and this, as stated, is a non-San Bernardized agreement. And which is why for the 3 years of the agreement, it will be, it's brought forward with an amount stipulated for each year. And FY28 will be the 3rd year of the contract. I don't know if there's anything else that the school board would like to add.
I think I don't know if Beth, yeah, I think we're good.
Okay. At this point, I'll invite the public for comments on Article 3 for the support staff.
I was curious about, Pam Hicks, 8 Maple Knoll Drive. On the monthly, going back to the monthly cost for the health insurance, is that per month, per year? You've just got increases from 83. What is that representing the time frame on that?
That's per month.
Per month, okay. All right. And I was curious as to if you could give a number for what the impact was for adding benefits to the part-time positions, what the total impact, what that is to this year's budget. I wanted to find out what that number was.
Okay, as a subset of the 131.
We didn't add, we've been giving benefits to our paras and support staff from where the Hollis School District did that last year.
Correct.
The co-op district has
Okay, so the co-op has continually done that.
Our teachers work,
Our pairs, their day is longer, and so they've been eligible just based on the length of their work day.
Oh, okay.
For
All right.
many years.
All right,
so
thanks for
it's just a
clarification.
confusion in the two boards, yeah.
Okay. Nope, thank you.
I should have added too that the support staff contract does represent the contract for our custodial maintenance, food service,
And our
paraprofessionals, and
secretaries.
administrative assistants.
Administrative assistants, yeah.
Thank you. So at this time, I'll close public input on Article 3 and move on to Article 4 for the Facilities Maintenance Expendable Trust to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate up to the sum of $300,000 to be added to the previously established School Building and Facilities Maintenance Expendable Trust Fund, sum to come from the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District's June 30, 2026 unassigned fund balance available on July 1st, 2026, majority vote required. Since the unreserved fund balance is the source of funding for this article, you would be foregoing a tax rate reduction of 7 cents per thousand in Hollis and 11 cents per thousand in Brookline. The projects anticipated for the $300,000 include some specific ductwork cleaning for the middle school, phase 3 of 5 for the middle school roof, and the high school track resurfacing of $130,000. There is an existing balance in this account because we are while these are estimates for the costs, anything that is not spent remains in the account. And in addition, we are also in prior years have some of the proposed funding has been to put money away for elevator repairs and replacements and replacement parts because elevators are extremely expensive to repair and replace. In addition to this $300,000, there's $391,000 in facilities maintenance that I mentioned in the operating budget. So at this time, I'll ask for public input on the Maintenance Expendable Trust. Seeing none, I'll close public input and move on to Article 5 for the contingency, to see if the school district will vote to establish a contingency fund for the current year for unanticipated expenses that may arise, and further to raise and appropriate up to $125,000 to go into the fund. This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance available on July 1st, 2026, and no amount to be raised from taxation. Any appropriation left at the end of the year will lapse to the general fund, majority vote required. So again, since the unreserved fund balance is the source of funding, you would be foregoing a rate reduction of 3 cents per thousand in Hollis and 5 cents per thousand in Brookline. So the contingency is an article that the district has put on the budget for on the warrant for annually for at least 10 years, because what is different for school districts than towns is that school districts cannot keep, I'll explain in a little bit more detail, cannot take any underrun in expenses or overrun in revenue and just tuck it away into a fund. Towns can do that, and they are not required to return any underruns in budget or overruns in revenue. They can keep it and put it aside. School districts have to return funds to the taxpayer. There are two ways that districts can retain funds. One is through the establishment of on an annual basis of an article just like this one that says we'd like to take $125,000 of the unassigned fund balance and make it available for potential use in the upcoming year. If this money does not get used, it lapses and is not saved. It absolutely gets returned as part of the next year's unreserved fund balance. What has recently been allowable for districts, and I say recently because it's been within the past 5 to 7 years, is the ability for districts to establish what's called a retained fund balance, which our district has done. That does enable the district to retain a very specific portion of unassigned fund balance at the end of every year. So when that retained fund balance language was originally brought to the district, the legal threshold was a 2.5% increase, 2.5% of the district's assessment, and it was passed at district meeting to be a 1% maximum, and that's what we operated under for a very long time, for probably 3 years or so. I believe 2 to 3 years ago, the legislation changed and allowed the maximum to go from 2.5% to 5%. In order for districts to change their percentage, they would have had to put a warrant article forward and change what their, if they had approved, 2.5% or 1%, they would have had to put another article forward. It was not something that just because the law changed, your percentages changed. You had to take an active step and measure with your legislative body. The district at that time brought forward the opportunity to increase the rate, and we increased it to 2.5% max of the assessment. So we have this contingency, which is part of the operating budget, and we have the retained fund balance in another place. And the way funds are put into that balance is by a motion of the board on an annual basis. And the way funds are used from that balance is by way of a public hearing and open discussion of how that money is going to be used. Similarly, for the contingency, while the district certainly can go just use their contingency funds, we do kind of have an understanding that if it is going to be used, it's a discussion at least with the budget committee, and we're at least aware of the circumstances for what would lead to that use. So, and I will also say, the school board has not to date on the retained fund balance side ever approved the maximum amount. They always approve less than that amount, and I think the amount they approved for this year is 1.5%, which is about $375,000. So, is there any public input on Article 5, the contingency?
I just asked a clarifying question. Has the district used the contingency in recent years?
The very first year that we had it, so that was probably 10 years ago at least, there were some circumstances that took place over the summer. And at the time when the contingency was allowable, you had to get state approval. There were very discrete reasons why you could use it. It had to be an emergency. You needed state approval. It was only good for special education or, like I said, an emergency. And that summer, I think we had like 2 or 3 things happen. Like the well tank cracked, the elevator broke. We hadn't even started the school year. And so the district did apply to the state to use their contingent funds, and actually only got approval to use the funds for one thing that they submitted on, because the approval for the second kind of got lost in email. So I think that year the district started with a budget freeze, and they were just very concerned about the budget in that year. So I believe we still, I should go back and see actually what year that was. I don't think the funds might have been used and taken out of the contingency line at the time, but the budget still underran for the year. We were never, by the end of the year.
We haven't really.
Other than that, no, we haven't used it. Okay, seeing no input, I'll move on to,
Actually, you're done.
I'm done.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can close your portion.
Darlene, do you have Article 6 here?
Wow. How do I not have Article 6 here?
I have it.
People.
Do you want to just show from the agenda the actual?
I can read
warrant?
it. That's it.
I can read it too. So.
Yeah.
But if you want to just pull up our agenda, it's on the warrant,
It went
right?
from 5 to 7.
Thanks. I see that.
So are you closing yours?
So at this time, I will close public input and the public hearing at 7:20 p.m.
And I am going to open a new public hearing run by the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School Board at 7:20 p.m. And the reason for this little switch is that the rest of the articles are either petition warrant articles or non-monetary articles. And we, we have a 2-minute public input rule that we will continue on, except for the fact that if the primary petitioner from a petition warrant article is here, we will allow a short presentation. But I don't think the primary petitioners are here. So that being said, we will probably just go through the petition warrant articles, and we won't speak to petition warrant articles and present them because they're not our articles. So the only article that is being presented by the school board is Article 6. So that is, shall the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District vote to adopt an open enrollment school program designating the Hollis Brookline Cooperative High School as an open enrollment school pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 194-D for the purpose of enabling the district to admit non-resident students to HBHS with 100% of its eligible resident pupils permitted to attend HBHS and 0% of its resident pupils in grades 7 through, wait a second, sorry. 0% of its resident pupils in grades 7 to 12 permitted to attend open enrollment schools located outside of the district. And further, to limit the number of non-resident pupils who may attend HBHS under the provisions of RS 194-D to no more than 5 students total, with no more than 2 non-resident students being admitted to each grade 9 through 12, with 0 non-resident students permitted to attend Hollis Brookline Cooperative Middle School. I'm going to let the superintendent speak to the purpose of this article.
The purpose of this article is to establish fiscal responsibility for the communities of Hollis and Brookline. The way it stands right now, there are districts in the state of New Hampshire that have deemed themselves open enrollment schools, and given lawsuits that have played out, if pupils in our community decide to attend those schools without consulting with our school or with the district, they would attend those schools, and then we would be faced with paying other communities 80% of our per pupil expenditure without consulting or without having any discussion points. This article protects, the intent of this article is to protect the dollars of Hollis and Brookline to remain in our community with our students and in our schools. We are open to accepting up to 5 students from other communities at the high school, no more than 2 per grade level, so that it wouldn't cause a need to hire additional teachers or change our programs, but it would allow us to have a little bit of flexibility. The high school would be the easiest place to schedule students based on the fact that they take 7 different classes. And then we would be eligible for 80% of those where those pupils are coming from, 80% of their per pupil expenditure. Sorry, Lauren. As of right now, this would, the intent of this is to create some stability for our community. There is current legislation out there that there's current legislation out there that potentially would make this a moot point if open enrollment passes in this state before or after our annual meeting. Then this warrant article would be a moot point. It would be null and void, and we would simply follow the new law. However, at this point, it's my recommendation, the recommendation of the school board and legal counsel, to put this forward for protection. There are so many unknowns about what open enrollment would bring the district in terms of costs of special ed costs, time of our educators, specifically for special ed students if our students were to attend another school district. There's just a lot of answers that we don't have, and so this is an opportunity for us to move slowly in that direction. This does not mean that families couldn't choose to send their students to charter schools or to private schools or other means, but this would limit families from simply taking their students from Hollis Brookline Middle School and High School and sending them to other open enrollment schools without conversation, and then we'd be faced with the bill. I'm going to turn that on.
Okay, thank you. At this point, I'll open the floor for public comment on Article 6.
Joe Garuba, 28 Winchester Drive, speaking on behalf of myself.
Can you speak a little louder, Joe? I can't really hear you.
No problem. So, there is a similar article at the Hollis School District, and the number of students that are permitted to transfer in is 1 on that article. This article is allowing 5 students to transfer in. So, I'm questioning why are we allowing, is there a rationale to allowing students from other districts to come here? Why did you guys choose to do that?
Why did we so we have to have a non-zero number for it to be legally determined that we've made a change in open enrollment status. Originally the thought was limit 0 in, 0 out, but we needed to identify a change in number. With our high school, as I mentioned, it's easier to fit a student in because of the way that we schedule. So there are a lot of diverse requests, and allowing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 would not necessarily put a demand on increasing by a math teacher or increasing by a history teacher. In our elementaries, that can have a huge impact because they're in the same cohort throughout the full day.
Okay, so it certainly is possible to reduce that number to 1. It's a non-zero number. So it's my opinion, and I'm asking the school board to do this, I think this should be amended to 1 because I don't think it benefits the residents of Hollis, Brookline District to have the additional traffic coming here and to dilute our student to teacher ratio. So I'm asking maybe tonight I would like to see this amended to 1. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that feedback.
Drew Mason, Baxter Road, Hollis, and moderator of the district. What is the rationale for allowing 0 out?
So if we allow 1 out, we would be required to pay the bill for that student. And so we would take 80% of our per pupil expenditure and send it to another community. In addition, if there were other costs associated with that student, any type of special ed related costs, transportation related to special ed needs, we would still, what's called LEA the meeting, so we would still have to have personnel in those other schools, so that requires time and money. And then we would increase the number of meetings, increasing the drive time. So there's just, by allowing pupils to go to other schools, that has a much greater financial burden on us, and we wouldn't be able to plan that in our budget.
There must be students, however, who would benefit from a different education environment. How should they be handled?
So there are charter schools, there's EFA opportunities families can take, there's homeschool, there's private schools, there's quite a few opportunities for families. However, Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District is a school district built and founded for providing an education to the students, to the resident students of this district in our district.
So you're saying basically it's on the parents' dime to do that if they wish to educate them elsewhere.
I mean, this is a philosophical kind of question, but people move to our community for our schools, and our tax dollars support our schools. So then by allowing tax dollars to go to other communities, is that what we're hoping to accomplish? So that's, I'm going to limit it at that.
Yeah, I think we got the answer.
So I'm taking that answer as a yes to my last question. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Drew.
I'm opposed to this.
Chris Opelka, Hollis.
I'm sorry, can you repeat your name for me?
Chris. I too am concerned about the numbers that you are proposing in this article. I'm just reading this kind of quickly for the first time. It says no more than 5 students total, and then there's a comma, and it says with no more than 2 non-resident students being admitted to each grade. And I thought you had 4 grades.
No, it just means that no more than 2 per grade. So 5 students, but not all 5 can come to 9th grade. So no more than 2 in a grade.
Okay, so you
5's the max.
5's the max.
But
okay.
like you could get 2 sophomores, 2 juniors, and a senior.
Right.
But you can't get 5 seniors.
Okay.
Does that help?
Is there a guarantee to those students that they're going to be here for 4 years? Because
I think that's
this
a
is a
question for the law.
commitment.
Yeah, so that's part of the uncertainty. There's no clause to say that we can remove those students, so there's an assumption that they would be here for the remainder of their educational career. And I think that's part of the reason why there is a concern at the state level for this legislation, because there's a lot of unknown answers.
Yeah, sure.
And
one more, you get another answer.
Add one thing that I attended a webinar specifically about open enrollment, and this question was asked of the attorney, and it's an attorney for the New Hampshire School Board Association, and the answer that he gave was that there was nothing in the legislation that guarantees that they have that right, but there's also nothing in it that says that they don't. So that was identified as a gray area in the legislation that has districts concerned.
And then could it be contested by that family sending that child that were admitted? This
We
gray
don't-
area
it's a
is
gray area.
very
This is
concerning.
right, we're working through the law. The legislation's still up in Concord. It hasn't passed yet, but there's been amendments to it and changes to it, and we're trying to protect the district as best we can.
So do I understand that your preference is that that number be smaller?
0.
Well,
0 in,
no,
0 out.
I
I'm
just-
not going to be paying.
No, I
And
just wanna
put it
caution
on
you.
the parents, like you said to Drew. You know, an option of private school is putting it on the parent.
I just
So
want to clarify, the reason we didn't put it at 0 is that the way the courts ruled, if you have it 0, that effectively is not implementing a change, and therefore you are an open enrollment school. So that's why all these are rushing to put a number. It's like when we added the $1 in previous years. If we don't have a change from 0, or if we don't have a specific whole number in there, the courts already interpreted that as, oh, you allow anything.
can you put in this article that there is no guarantee that the child is here until graduation?
We
Can
could,
you-
we could put whatever we want, but if it is in conflict with the way that the law is stated or interpreted by the courts, it would not necessarily be upheld. That's why there's a lot of people lobbying to have changes made to it, but they're pulling it all different directions depending on the interests of any individual school district.
It's a gray area, and this is
Well,
the
I
best we
think
can
if
do.
you could put in,
Like, no guarantee.
no
Yeah.
guarantee that this is a 1-year contract.
We can check with
It
legal,
is-
but we
Yeah,
don't.
that's a great suggestion,
Big-
thank you.
We can check with legal.
The other question, just because when you speak, I'm sorry, it's I know your microphones are for the recording. They're not for us, but it would be nice if we could all hear. So if you can have dual microphones, that would be great. So I'm going to ask a question that you probably have already answered, but I really would like to hear it. is, what about children who are on an IEP or a 504? Is there any difference between these people, whether or not they can
Sure.
qualify for this or not? Because
So
that's
all students are eligible. It's lots of gray area right now. It's the sending district that would be on the hook for the cost of services. However, there would be meetings. The team from the sending district, the team from our district would have conversation about what's an appropriate service, and so there are a lot of questions that we don't have very clear answers for, and certainly that is a very gray area.
Can you stipulate that you're not accepting?
We cannot.
But the way the wording is, it's very, it's not very detailed, but the language does state that the sending district will pay cost of services. What it doesn't delineate is what happens if there is a disagreement between the sending district and the receiving district on what services are appropriate. So it does state, it does state that the sending district has to pay those costs, but it doesn't put guardrails on those costs or the reimbursement. So it's a problem.
I was just going to say that.
Yeah.
You've got a real problem on your
problem.
hands.
We
that
do.
you've
Thank you so
gotta-
much. I think we've got 2 minutes, so thank you. Is there any further public input on Article 6? All right. Moving on to Article 7. Oh, sorry, Drew. Yes, go ahead.
What you just said raised a question in my mind. Does the receiving district have any choice over who comes?
My understanding is, according to the current legislation, no.
Well, suppose.
Oh, wait a second, I shouldn't say that, I shouldn't say that. If the student has, there are 3 exceptions, if the student has been expelled from their district, if the student has a history of attendance or behavior issues, right? Those are the 3, but it doesn't define what a behavior issue is, right? There's no definition of what behavior issues are. So in our school, behavior issues might be X, Y, and Z. In another school, they may be different from what our behavioral expectations are, or what, we have a really well-behaved group of students, and so, there's no definition of that. So that's another thing that's unclear.
Suppose you have 8 interested students for 5 slots. How is that?
Lottery.
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 Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Drew. Okay, moving on to Article 7, I think, right? Okay, Article 7 is by petition to see if the school district will vote to require the Hollis School Board to prominently display current and previous year state assessment scores and state rankings on the school district website header, visible on every page, with said information to be updated within 30 days of the official release of scores by the New Hampshire Department of Education. Is there any public input on that one? Again, this was a petition warrant article, so we won't be commenting on it until we discuss later. All right, seeing no public comment on that one, I'm going to move on. Am I supposed to be tracking the time? At 7:39. Article 8, shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 40:13, known as SB2, to allow official ballot voting on all issues before the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District on the 2nd Tuesday of March? Is there any public input? I'll open the floor for public input at 7:39. Seeing none, I will close the floor. Article 9, also by petition. Shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 32:5-E and implement a budget cap whereby the school board or budget committee shall not submit a recommended budget that is higher than $27,500 per pupil, cost times the average daily membership in residents of the school district as of October 1st of the year immediately preceding the proposed budget year, plus an annual increase for inflation using CPI-U for the Boston, Cambridge, Newton, Mass, New Hampshire area, published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics as of October 1st. This requires a 3/5 majority of the school district. So I will open the floor for public comment on Article 9 by petition. Seeing none, I will close the floor at 7:40. It was opened and closed at the same time. Article 10, petition warrant article. Shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 32:5V-B requiring that the annual budget and all special warrant articles having a tax impact as determined by the school board shall contain a notation stating the estimated tax impact of the article. The determination of the estimated tax impact shall be subject to approval by the governing body. I'm going to open the floor for public input at 7:40. Seeing none, closing the public comment at 7:40. Wow, this is going quickly. Article 11 by petition, shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 32:5-B and implement a tax cap whereby the governing body or budget committee shall not submit a recommended budget that increases the amount to be raised by local taxes, this year's base, that is higher than the prior fiscal year's actual amount of local taxes raised, last year's base, adjusted for inflation using the inflation index CPI-U for the Boston, Cambridge, Newton, Mass, New Hampshire area, published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and change in attendance according with RSA 32:5-B, I-B. I will open the floor for public comment at 7:41. And seeing none, I will close the floor for public comment at also 7:41. And that completes our public hearing. Is that right? So I'm closing the public hearing at 7:41, and the Hollis School Board will come out of recess.
And
We have one
the-
more. Was there one more article?
No.
No,
There was a petition article,
yeah, it's not
that
on the
is going on the
warrant.
ballot?
It is going on the
There's no
ballot.
public hearing for that?
There is no public hearing for that one, however, we are going to talk about that. So we will, take public I think, how do we wanna do that?
Yeah, you can take public input.
Yeah, I could open the floor for public input. Open the floor, it'll be open for half an hour, but we'll take your comment, we'll let other people speak to it, and then we will, move on with our business.
Okay, that's great.
Okay, so,
So I would ask that, I
Can
would
I
like
just
to hear the
introduce
discussion
it?
first.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
yeah, so,
I would like to return the budget committee from recess.
yeah, we gotta come from recess. I'm gonna,
At 7:42 p.m.
okay, so I just wanna ask the board, before I do exactly that, and the budget committee, do we want to talk about the charter commission article before we take public input, or do you wanna take public input, talk about the article, and then take positions on the warrant?
I prefer hearing public input first.
Okay.
Because that could have impact to my position on the
okay.
item.
Okay.
The only thing I would say is I'd like the introduction to be not just reading it, but enough information so that it at least describes what we understand it to mean or be.
Okay.
That's fair. Yep.
Okay, the only thing is I don't know if I have the language for that, what is on the ballot, exactly how the question is. I don't know if I have that, so I'd like to have that in front of me. And then, I will do my best, but I expect some help from other people. So, do we have it?
We do.
Great. Just grabbing that. Just 1 second, Joe. I can't get into my computer right now. You got it? Okay, Amy has it.
No, just what's on the ballot?
Yes, what's on the ballot, just what's on the ballot. It's one sentence.
Right?
Yes, it's one sentence is on the ballot. Yep. So what is on the ballot, that is on the official ballot for March 10th is and this is on the co-op ballot in Hollis and the co-op ballot in Brookline, shall a charter commission be established for the purpose of establishing a municipal charter, which would be, in this case, a school district charter, a charter for us, school district. Is there something else that I should read, or is that good? Does that cover it? Yeah, okay. So, briefly, our understanding, and Tom, you can interrupt, Gina, you can interrupt. Our understanding is that a charter commission for a school district is an elected group of people. If this passes, and it needs a 50% or a simple majority to pass, sorry. If this passes, it needs a simple majority. There's a process that we're gonna talk about in a little while about how who's on the charter commission and how those people get elected and deadlines, and that's what we have to talk about. But my understanding is that, the job of this commission is to look into official ballot voting and to see if they wanna make a recommendation to the voters at the following annual meeting to move either all monetary items from our warrant to an official ballot, to be voted on the ballot, or they could potentially suggest that all articles on a warrant go to an official ballot, or they could potentially vote as a group to recommend to not make a recommendation, like to not make any recommendation, and therefore they would keep it the same.
To recommend that they do not move to a charter.
Right, thank you. So those are the options for the commission as far as I understand it, and we have been working with attorneys to understand that. So at this point, yes, Tom,
Sorry.
I know.
But I
I'm
just,
trying to keep it simple. Go ahead.
I just want to make it clear that the way it was expressed is that the options that exist for a school district are limited to only two possibilities, both of which are virtually identical to SB2. The difference being one is truly identical to SB2, and the other is that only monetary items are SB2-like, and the non-monetary would continue to be done in a meeting format. So basically, you can take money, move it into the ballot, or any
Everything.
or all of the warrant and move it in.
And the requirement of a deliberative session is still in place for a charter format. Like, so you still need to have a deliberative session, and items that could be amended at a town meeting format can still be amended at a deliberative session. So bonds and contracts can't be amended, but budgets can be amended. So you'd still be required to have a deliberative session. You'd put things on the ballot, and if the charter commission chooses to only put monetary things on the ballot, you would still need to have a town meeting as well.
And one of
So-
the interesting things was, because I specifically asked this question, why have both? The RSA for the charter and the RSA for SB2 were both brought forth, voted on, and approved the same year.
In 1995.
So they were both done simultaneously in parallel.
So at this point, I'd like to open the floor for public input. Yes?
Can I just ask a clarifying question?
Sure.
Just to make sure I understand. So, voting yes on that petition would signal the start of a process that results in people being elected to form a commission to develop a plan to get voted on next year.
At the annual meeting.
At the annual
So
meeting.
even though this
Okay.
is on the ballot, my understanding is that the vote on the recommendation of the commission would be at the town meeting, at the district meeting.
It
And if
happens
they're-
fa-
and if they-
It happens
if-
fast, too. It's 30 to 60
Yeah.
days, that whole thing has to start.
And we're
And
gonna talk more about that process after, so
Okay.
that the board has an understanding, because we have some things we would have to do.
Okay.
So, is there another question?
No, I'll
Okay,
wait.
so I'm gonna open the floor for public input for the Hollis School District and the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District meeting, and I assume you're opening the floor for public.
I don't.
There's
Are you-
public
No,
input
we're
here.
not gonna do that.
Right.
And you're gonna open that at 7:49?
I'm opening at 7:49, thank you.
But you gotta keep it in from 7:50.
And it has to stay open for half an hour, so do the math, I don't know what it is.
River 28
8:20.
Winchester Drive, speaking on behalf of myself. this process seems similar to zoning amendments. And in the zoning amendments, the planning board gets to put on the ballot whether they recommend or do not recommend a particular amendment. So I assume that the same right would be afforded to the school board. So if you guys vote to recommend or not recommend, I expect to see that on the ballot, or at least I would like you to verify if it could be put on the ballot.
I don't know, I think the ballots are, I don't know. We can find that out, but thank you for that.
Ballots are printed.
Ballots are printed, so it's too late now.
So we can't.
Okay, it could be important.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if that was missed, I would be disappointed.
Well,
So-
it's not that it was missed, it's that this happened after the ballots went, because there's a different timeline for submitting this specific.
Yeah, back in December, the petition came in, and that's similar to zoning amendments. So usually in the zoning world, the board
Right.
would vote and that would make it on the ballot. So
Okay.
I don't know what happened here, but maybe it's not even possible. I don't know. This is unusual. So the other thing is I would have liked to have heard from the petitioner, but no one's here to represent the article, so I'm disappointed. I have some questions, about 4 of them, and I'll relay them, and you can consider them while you deliberate, I assume.
Oh, on all of the ones that we just did through the public hearing?
So my questions are about the Charter Commission
Okay.
and this particular article.
Okay.
So I would like to know under what statute this petition was submitted. Usually petition articles at the co-op go to the meeting and come up before the meeting. So this is unusual and I'm not used to it. So it would be good to know that. I would like to hear how many school districts in the state have formed their charter governments using this process. So I did a little research. I didn't find a lot. I assume that the school district attorney can answer this question. It also seems important.
What?
What's that?
What? One district?
What district?
Kearsarge.
That I don't recall. but-
Kearsarge.
Just Kearsarge.
That's useful, thank you. I would like to know if this action ties into any present or future bills in the State House. So I haven't read the LSRs or what's going on up there, but it's potential that this, like the other thing that we saw, is concurrently going through with something in the state, and I would like to know that. And I guess, my question is, what government is to be changed? Because if you read the language that was submitted, it's not really clear to me what organization is this charter going to represent, or this group.
It's very limited.
It says municipal.
Right, right.
And last,
Of this article, a school district is a municipality.
So
I
Drew was
didn't
saying,
find support for that in the RSA. It could be. I
Yeah.
did a summary search,
So-
but I didn't find support for that.
there is support for that, and we've been working with legal on that, but yes, the municipal can be referred to as the school district, yes.
So if there is support, I would like to know what that is.
Yeah, we'll try that for you.
And I think that my last question was covered. So
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you taking the input and giving us
And we're gonna go over some of the
rundown.
details of that in a little bit, so
So thank you.
you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so, moving forward, is there any more public input on anything? Actually, that public input was for anything related to our agenda. So, okay, so we're gonna move on with our meetings, and I'm gonna ask the board how you want to proceed. Do we wanna talk about Charter Commission more, or would we, because I have some information for the school board,
I
or do
think
we
that's
wanna take
perfect.
positions?
I think maybe we should finish the Charter Commission
Okay,
discussion.
okay.
And then we can just,
So just for information for the school board that I needed to give to them, so my understanding, and first of all, for the members of the Budget Committee and the school board, we have been working with legal on this, and Gina, Darlene, and I are meeting on a Zoom call with legal tomorrow for like a half an hour, just to kind of answer any more questions that come up about this. But as I said, it's a simple majority to pass. If it passes, a charter commission needs to be created. A charter commission is a 9-member elected board, and it would reflect each town's proportional membership on the current school board. So we're 4-3, so it would probably be like 5-4. Within 5 days after the deadline for the recount, or actually, within 5 days after the deadline for the recount request, or 5 days after a recount is completed, the school board needs to meet to set the date for a special election. And that is why I put this on the agenda, because I need you all to know that although I can't tell you what date that will be, because we don't know, and one question we're gonna ask tomorrow is the recount deadline the same as the recount deadline for candidates? So that would be March 13th is the recount request deadline. That's what the candidates have. We want to make sure it's the same for this particular PWA. And then it's 5 days, and it's not business days within 5 days. So our deadline, I think, is going to be March 18th, unless there's a recount. So if there's a request for a recount, and we would have to wait for the recount to be completed, and then we would have to meet within 5 days. So we're not setting a meeting today. I'm just warning the school board and letting you know that we will need a quorum to set a date for a special election, and I am guessing it's probably going to have to be, from what Ju and I talked today, March 18th. I am going to confirm those dates tomorrow when I talk to the attorney, but it looks like that might be the date if there's no recount request, or before that. But again, we have Hollis School District meeting on March 17th, we have our district meeting on the 19th, and I think the 19th might be too late. So we're trying to figure that out tomorrow.
The election must occur 4/28, 5/5, or 5/12.
Yeah, that's, and then that's, once we meet to set the date, we have to set it within no more than 35 days, no less than 35 days, not more than 60 days, and it has to be on a Tuesday. So we would be limited to 3 choices. Yeah. So that's just for you all to know. So we would have to meet, and it would have to be a publicly noticed meeting, and we would have to set the date, and that's all we would do. And I think we'd have to do it on March 18th. And then, just for information, if you are interested in running for the commission, interested people make a declaration of candidacy, much like you do for the school board, and that period begins the 4th Wednesday prior to the special election date. It ends on the following Friday, and yes, school board members, budget committee members, select board members are eligible to run. There's not a conflict there.
Do you have to wait until after the election after the ballot vote to put your name in for?
Yes, because it'll open based on the date of the
So
election.
you can't do it preemptively just in case?
No,
No,
I don't think so. You have to wait until
So
it's.
how much time is there to actually do it?
I think it's like a couple of, it says, I don't understand the language completely, but period beginning the 4th Wednesday prior to the special election date and ends on the following Friday. Is that the
So
Wednesday,
it's the
Thursday,
window.
Friday?
It's the Wednesday.
The
So
4th
it ends on
before?
the following Friday?
I think it'd be a week.
So it's like a week and a half.
It sounds like, it seems to me like it's a week and a half, but I'm not 100% sure. Again, a follow-up question for tomorrow. And then I have a list of questions that I've gotten from Drew. I just think we've gone over what the commission can do. We've explained that.
I just would want, for the record, to just ask this clarifying question.
Sure.
I want to ensure that the focus of this commission is only on the voting of a warrant, the mechanism for voting on a warrant, and cannot in any way address the articles of the agreement and the components of that, which include school board composition, grades in the co-op, apportionment formula, among other things. So I just wanted on the record to be clear that the articles of agreement are off the table.
According to legal counsel, this commission could not modify articles of agreement, they cannot modify apportionment, they cannot change the composition of the co-op. They cannot change the composition of the co-op, they cannot change apportionment formula, they cannot change the articles of agreement. It is simply the mechanism by which we vote on the warrant that they can change. Is that clear? I mean, am I right? That, like, the way I'm saying that's accurate, right?
question.
Correct. I just, one other way to look at it is this is, could be adopting a charter that puts the district at SB2, or it could be splitting it so that financial articles are voted on by ballot via like an SB2 format. All others would be by annual meeting. SB2 requires a different level of support than the Charter Commission, which is a simple majority. So it's
Right.
a different mechanism.
It's a different mechanism, because,
Is
yes.
the petition warrant available? Is it a public document?
You mean the petition? Sure, yeah. I mean,
Is it
where's-
posted anywhere, or is it available?
We can have them posted tomorrow.
Okay, thank you.
Pam, did you want to speak?
I have a quick question about the SB2, and is this basically a backdoor into it? And I don't know what you all can do or the district can do to explain that, because this is going to be super confusing to people.
So one of the questions I'm going to ask tomorrow is what we are allowed to do in terms of publicizing this, and we won't, I would never advocate for how a person should vote, but we do feel like the information as to what this means and how this plays out, because the question, in my opinion, almost seems like a committee, but this is actually a formal process. So it's important for people to understand that it's the kicking off of a formal process that could change the way we vote. And it is a simple majority versus SB2, which requires three-fifths.
Right, and where it has been voted down, this does seem
For
like
10
a
years.
kind of an end run.
Right,
If
and
it's gonna get voted in, have it
we've had
voted in the
very
right way.
we've had very respected members of our community suggest a charter. It's just that in a municipality, a charter has a lot more flexibility. They can make a lot more changes, and what we are learning, and this is new information to us, is a school district is much more limited in what we can do.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Do we know what, oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that Brookline also has the same charter commission on our town meeting
On your
ballot.
town warrant, yes.
Yeah,
On your town ballot.
on our
yes.
town ballot, yes.
I want to make clear, if this passes and we have to run a special election, people who wish to file for the position need to file with the clerk,
Right.
not the office.
Okay. The town clerk.
No, the district clerk.
The district clerk.
Happens to be the Hollis town clerk.
What about for Brookline residents? They can't file in Brookline like they
No,
can for
we
filing
need to
for the school
file
board?
with the district clerk.
Yeah, that is in the language, yep. So thank you for that distinction, that's important. So that would be filing at the district clerk, which happens to be, she actually works she's our town clerk, so,
Right.
in Hollis.
But
So,
she does have substantial office hours, so.
Right.
But you can't go to the SAU office.
Please don't.
Do we know what happens if both the Charter Commission gets approved and the SB2?
I don't know, good question.
It's approved.
It's gonna be a
That'll be a
traffic
good day
accident.
for
Any co-op meeting is a good day
Yeah.
for Drew.
Okay. Is there any
32.1.
further comments or questions from,
Well, the overriding question is, do we take a position on this tonight in the off chance that we are allowed to have a position and it can therefore be publicized?
yeah, I think we should take a position after we take all positions on everything else. I think so. Is the board on the same page as me, Rob?
Yeah, so that would allow us to comment on that once we put it on the floor?
Sure.
And it'll be open for discussion?
Yep.
Okay, yeah, I'm fine with it.
We just have to add a motion in this outline somewhere. Okay. So, moving forward.
Do you want to just do that now, since we're talking?
I'd say just put it at the end of
Yeah,
everything
okay.
else, and we'll
No
just
problem.
move. We're going to move forward with taking positions on all of the way we do this.
Mhm.
Okay. So, we're going to move towards deliberations, but we can talk about the Charter Commission more when we get to that deliberative item. Does that make sense to everybody? Great. So, we're going to see what action the board will take regarding the proposed Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District budget for well, actually, we're going to go through each one of these. The the budget, the board warrant articles, and those submitted by citizens' positions. So the board will probably take positions on all of the items on the warrant. The budget committee doesn't take positions on all of them. They stay focused on ones that are.
We're going to chime in on some
Okay.
of the petitions.
Okay, so Article 1. Shall the district vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $1,230,494 as the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District's portion of the SAU's budget of $2,560,328 for the forthcoming fiscal year? This year's adjusted budget of $2,540,642 with $1,221,033 assigned to the school budget of this school districts will be adopted if the article does not receive a majority vote of all the school district voters voting in the school administrative unit. I need a motion to recommend the article as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Beth.
Second.
And I need a second. Thank you. Second by Rob.
I'd just like to make a quick comment, just for folks sitting at home and possibly here. These type of motions that come on the floor usually go to a vote very quickly. That could be construed by people that were rubber stamping or being flip about the motions and where we stand on these things. I just want to point out for folks that we have lived with these articles for months. We probably could recite them by memory and the numbers that are in them. So it's not that we're flip and not giving it the time it needs. It's just that we're very familiar with these, and we are very familiar with each of our positions on each and every one of these.
Great. Thank you. Do you want me to take my vote first and then you vote?
Yeah.
Okay. Any other comment on that? Okay, all those in favor? 6-0.
I'll take a motion to approve, to recommend Article 1 as written from the Budget Committee.
So
From-
moved.
From Tony, seconded by Brian. All those in favor? 5-0. I would like to say that unfortunately, our school board member cannot vote as a Budget Committee member due to legislation that removed his voting privilege. Oh, and one other thing I wanted to mention, we are missing several members this evening, but Tom Enright specifically at a prior meeting, he knew he wasn't going to be here tonight. He wanted to voice his support for all of the financial articles 1 through 5 as written. He knows his vote can't count. He wanted it, on the record in some way, shape, or form, but he very much supported the process and the information that was put forward. So I said I would bring it up today, even though his vote can't count. So, okay.
You guys vote?
We did.
Okay.
5-0.
Okay, I'll read Article 2 and then I'll let you read them too. Article 2, to see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate a sum of $31,716,292 for the support of the schools, for the payment of salaries for the school district officials and agents, and for the payment of statutory obligations of the district. This appropriation does not include appropriations voted on in other warrant articles. Majority vote required. I need a motion to recommend Article 2 as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Beth. Second by Rob. Any comments? Okay, all in favor? 6-0. And Kate Stoll is also regretting that she can't be here as well, and supports.
So at this time, I'll take a motion to approve Article 2 for the operating budget as written.
I'll make a motion.
From Raul, seconded by Brian. All those, any comments, questions? Nope. Seeing none, all those in favor? Great, 5-0, thank you.
Would you mind reading the next?
Sure. To see if the school district will vote to approve the cost items for the second year of a 3-year collective bargaining agreement reached between the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School Board and the Hollis Education Support Staff Association for the 25, 26, 26, 27, 27, 28 school years, which calls for the following increases in support staff salaries and benefits at the current staffing levels. Fiscal year 26-27 estimated increase $131,512, and further to raise and appropriate a sum of $131,512 for the second fiscal year 26-27 school year. Such sum representing the additional costs attributable to the increase in support staff salaries and benefits required by the new agreement over those that would be made at current staffing levels. Majority vote required.
I need a motion to recommend Article 3.
So moved.
Moved by
Second.
Beth, seconded by Rob. Okay, all those in favor? And that's 6-0.
And a motion from the Budget Committee to recommend Article 3 as written for the support staff contract. So moved from Melanie. Let's mix it up. And seconded by Tony. Comments, questions? Seeing none. All those in favor? Oh, wait.
I have to abstain.
Okay. All those in
Okay.
favor? 4 opposed, 0 abstentions, 1.
One.
Great. I'll do Article 4. To see if the school district will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $300,000 to be added to the previously established school building and facilities maintenance expendable trust fund, the sum to come from the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District's June 30th, 2026 unassigned fund balance available for transfer on July 1st, 2026, and no amount to be raised from taxation. Majority vote required. I need a motion to recommend Article 4. Moved by Beth, seconded by Rob. Is there any conversation, discussion? Seeing none, all those in...
I give up.
What?
I give up.
You give up. All those in favor? 6-0.
I'll take a motion to approve Article 4 for the Maintenance Expendable Trust as written. From Raoul, seconded by Tony. All the comments, questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5-0-0. Thank you. And Article 5, to see if the school district will vote to establish a contingency fund for the current year for unanticipated expenses that may arise, and further to raise and appropriate up to $125,000 to go into the fund. This sum to come from the unassigned fund balance available for transfer on July 1st, 2026, and no amount to be raised from taxation. Any appropriation left at the end of the year will lapse to the general fund. Majority vote required.
Okay, so I need a motion to recommend Article 5 as presented. Moved by
Second.
Beth and second by Rob. And if there's any comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? 6-0.
And from the Budget Committee, I'll take a motion to approve Article 5 as written for the contingency
I'll
fund.
make a motion.
From Raoul, seconded by Tony. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all those in favor? 5-0-0, thank you.
Okay, Article 6, shall the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District vote to adopt an open enrollment school program designating the Hollis Brookline Cooperative High School an open enrollment school pursuant to New Hampshire RSA 194-D for the purpose of enabling the district to admit non-resident students to HBHS with 100% of its eligible resident pupils permitted to HBHS and 0% of its resident pupils in grades 7 to 12 permitted to attend open enrollment schools located outside of the district, and further to limit the number of non-resident pupils who may attend HBHS under the provisions of RSA 194-D to no more than 5 students total, with no more than 2 non-resident students being admitted to each grade 9 through 12, with 0 non-resident students permitted to attend Hollis Brookline Cooperative Middle School. I need a motion to recommend Article 6 as presented. Moved by
Second.
Beth, second by Rob.
I have a-
Yes, I'm going to let you talk to this one. I had a
We
feeling.
can talk to it.
Sure.
So we did receive input this evening on the amount of students allowed into district incoming. I would like to understand what implications there are by changing that number, and how that would, what implications there are from the superintendent.
Gina, you can
Would we still be compliant with, RSA? Would changing that number open us up or create any unintended exposure of any kind?
Changing it to what?
Point of order.
Changing it at all?
Do we have the option at this point? as a board? Okay, I just want to.
Yeah, but you're supposed to take feedback from
Yeah.
the committee.
I didn't
Community.
know if we could only take a position on it as written, or if we could actually amend the warrant article at this point in time.
Yeah, you can amend it. It's not final.
Okay, thank you.
And it can also be amended on the floor at
Yeah.
annual meeting. So are you saying if we change the 5 students total to,
If we increase it, decrease it, whatever, what implication does it have from our standpoint to meet current RSA? Does it open us up in any material way to unintended costs? Or does it cover us from unintended costs? I am open to the idea of changing it. I just want to make sure before I even enter and even think about that, what are the implications of changing it?
So, the implications of saying,
Gina.
of changing,
Speak up.
the implications of changing the number that we will allow out could have a financial impact on the district.
That makes sense. Yep.
The implications of changing the number in would not necessarily have a financial impact, other than
Depends on what you changed it to.
it depends on what you
obviously.
changed it to. If you changed it to 0 out, 0 in, then the thought would be that is no change at all, and so
And
we
then
would
now
not
you're
have
opened up
correctly.
to everything.
Correct. Right. Another factor that it's not a huge consideration, but something to consider. So if we allow 5 or 1 or 10 pupils to come in, we then have to start invoicing other districts based on a per pupil expenditure that's different based on each district, and create vendors and collect money, and you're just creating workload. And so there is a bit of a cost to that,
Yeah.
if you will.
So if we changed it tonight,
Yep.
as a board,
Changed it.
down
You're specifically saying move that 5 number to a lower
one.
number.
to
Say.
1. The concern I have is that if that change is done and we bake it in and it's approved, are we opening ourselves up to any kind of contesting and saying, well, look at SAU 41, they changed it, but they did the absolute minimum, and maybe I want to take that to court or something?
So other districts some have really small numbers, some have larger numbers. It really depends on, decisions that the board and the administration is making based on their enrollment. Some districts are looking to utilize this as an opportunity to increase enrollment in their schools because they've seen declining enrollment over time. We're pretty steady, so I don't think we're trying to add students necessarily. So, we didn't want to open ourselves up for any legal battles. So legal counsel advised the 1. In trying to go with the spirit of it, I said, well, we could probably do 5 without having a huge impact on our schools, but if the community feels like that might be too much for us to take on, certainly 1 is easier than 5.
So if I were to motion to change that number down for the incoming number from 5 to 2, what kind of concerns would you have in doing that, if any?
I would have no concerns.
How about you, Tom?
The concern that we voiced earlier when talking about why to set it 5 versus 1, there was the feeling there are members of the community who view it as a potential significant revenue stream. The whole idea that if we had 5 or 10 more students in the building, in the same way that we say that losing 10 students in enrollment doesn't significantly lower our cost.
No.
The flip side of that same coin is that where we are now does increasing enrollment by 10 students, whether it comes from within the district or outside the district, change the cost of us running the school? And if the answer is no, not significantly, because with the constraints that we have about no more than 2 per class, can we take in some quantity of students and the additional revenue that comes in that doesn't come from local taxpayers? So if you, at 5 or a number around there, perhaps you can make the case that this is a manageable number that isn't going to impact it, but that 10 would. But if you're at 1 or 2, can you make that same argument? I don't know. That to me is a risk of it being amended on the floor.
Or amended here. I think Rob is suggesting
No,
that
but I
now,
mean, if
right?
we amend it to 1 or 2, then someone at the meeting coming in say, that's basically none, and we see from our enrollment variations that we can tolerate fluctuations of 10 or 15 in total enrollment in the building. Why are you limiting it to 1 when this is a potential revenue stream that comes from outside? That's the argument that might present itself at the annual meeting.
Well, that could happen regardless.
Could happen if we only have 5. You know.
Granted,
Yeah.
granted,
So
but
it's
that
going to
was-
be a debate on the floor at the annual meeting regardless.
Right, but 5 looks like a considered number, whereas 1 doesn't.
Yeah, I'm not supporting 1 necessarily, but something other than 5.
How about 4 with 1 per grade? Sorry, go ahead, Val.
It's 7 through 12, right?
Yeah, that's
So I was like,
no,
I.
right.
So it's specifically for the
High
high
school.
school.
Okay. I wanted
Yes,
to check.
Raoul?
It says, seven, in this though, doesn't it say 7?
So it says 0% allowed to go out to other districts in grades 7 through 12, and up to 5 are allowed in through 9 through 12 with no more than 2 per grade level.
Thank you.
That's what
Well,
the
I
bill
would-
says?
That's
Yeah.
what, that's
So
what our.
I think there's a better
That's what they-
rationale to change 5 to 4.
Okay.
And then if questions, we can say, well, because we feel that there's 4 grades, 1 in each grade, at least it's a rationale.
Okay.
Than to just go to 1 for all 4 grades, right?
Tom?
Something that was new information for me tonight that was brought up during the discussion on it. I had thought that the responsibility to pay for special services was better delineated than what it sounds like it is. That's number 1. And number 2, from the presentation that I saw from NHSBA, I got the impression that, where am I going? What was I thinking that Will talked about? That there is no guarantees whatsoever to continuation from 1 year to the next. Can our administration go a little bit deeper as to how uncertain that is? Because I thought that was pretty clear the way I had earlier heard it presented, but it doesn't sound like it's real clear.
In the letter that I saw, it was one of the questions about the bill is that is there a guarantee, is there not a guarantee?
Who was raising the question?
The group of people the group of administrators and board members that sent a letter to the state on this.
So their interpretation is it's not clear?
Yeah, that's one of the
Because
questions.
that's a strong argument in lowering the number, Rob.
Right.
Yeah.
The other question I have that comes to my mind, it's just on the same thought process, if you indulge me a little bit, Raul.
That's okay. You have the floor.
Because I'm about to
To
make a
see.
motion.
Before you make the motion, I'd like to say a couple of things.
Very well. So the question I have is that for other situations where we are looking to recoup monies from other districts, whether it's services rendered or whatever, what kind of difficulties have we had getting and receiving payment from other districts? Has that been difficult? Have we had to, make multiple calls and cajole to get paid? Are there other examples of this that may or may not be related to this article, just generally?
Well, I don't have a long historical perspective on this. Usually districts are pretty good, but there can be some debate on amounts and figuring things out and dialing that in. So I think districts are usually pretty good about paying when it's required.
Mm-hmm.
Then if there's ambiguity in payments, such as special ed services, that could potentially pose a challenge if the sending district and the receiving district have different opinions on what should be paid.
Right.
The other piece to that puzzle is then Les is right. We usually do get payment accordingly, but every district has a little bit of a different process with what paperwork and pieces they require that they want for either invoices or contracts or what have you. So all those different paperwork pieces can cause a different level of just time and
Right.
resources.
So in my mind, and I'll stop here and let you go. To my mind, that's another fact that supports lowering the number, keeping the exposure of collection for services or costs incurred. At a minimum, I'm not looking to make more work for our administrators. So, go ahead, Rob.
Well, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that this sounds to me more like perhaps a good idea, but there's still a lot of work to be done, to be specified. And so I'm concerned about potential liability or things that could go wrong that we haven't anticipated, that are not clearly described in the petition article. The other thing is, if the Hollis School District already went through the process and they agreed that 1 seemed to be their magic number, I would like to find out more about that, as to how they came up with that rationale, because it seems to me, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt, if they went through that process and they came up with 1, there must be a very good reason. So we can game the process, we can maybe try to minimize liability, but at the end of the day, it seems like we're going down a path that we're not sure where it's going to end up. And so I'm personally opposed to this thing. It isn't clear to me that if we want to pass this bill to minimize liability, that isn't clear to me. So it isn't clearly stated to me how we're going to prevent issues by passing this warrant article.
I got Cindy and Beth. Cindy, did you have something?
Yeah, I think we should caution on the lower side, because until we know whether it's guaranteed or not guaranteed, because you're talking a 4-year high school that we could have 20 students. If this is a cumulative thing and they're all guaranteed.
No,
It's not cumulative.
It's 5 kids
It's 5
total.
kids total.
So
This year, but
no,
then
no,
next
no,
year.
no. It's 5 kids
So
total.
It could be the same 5
So
kids,
if
but it's 5
if
kids.
it's a 9th grader and they want to stay for the 4 years, that's only one 9th grader that we can have.
Yes.
So
One
I
They,
don't
they
think
have
that's
to,
clear
so
in
they would
this
have to
either.
like reapply.
so
Every year?
those.
Well, that's the piece we don't know
We
yet.
don't know.
So if we end up with 4, say, those 4 have first priority moving forward.
We don't know.
Possibly, we don't know. That's the
So
gray area.
again, another uncertainty
The
that
law
we
is
really.
silent.
So the
The
law
law is
is
silent.
uncertain. This is just an
This is-
attempt to protect us from what we know of the legislation now. We have a lot of questions about the legislation that the legislators have not developed answers for yet. So this is an attempt to protect us. But it doesn't guarantee us anything. It's just an attempt.
I was gonna say, I definitely appreciate that comment, and I don't like to vote in support of anything if we don't have more information, but it sounds, if we don't do anything, we're more open to.
So the
Correct.
the
This
the
is
bill could go
temporary.
through, and
Correct.
if we don't have this in place, we could be open to just having everyone.
Correct.
As the bill has been amended, this may be null anyway, and we may have to take everybody. Like,
just wanted to
But
make
let me
that
just
clear.
say this,
Yeah.
having had the experience of being involved in attempting to pass a bill in the process, the final day of legislation at the state level, I think is sometime in August. So it isn't clear that this is going to pass till the end, because it seems like it's very complicated to begin with, and it's going to bring a lot of discussion. So I suggest that even if this passes, say, at the end of early August, say, of this year, without making any changes, we will then have the specific bill, and then we'll be able to craft legislation to support what we need to do about it.
The problem though is that we've been hit on state and federal levels with really unbelievably fast implementation for things with no warning. So even if it does, in best case scenario, not get, resolved until August, we still could be faced with implementing it
and
immediately.
currently, the way the bill is written, if it passes, it goes into effect July 1st, 2026.
Exactly. So,
But the thing to
It
keep,
goes, I think it's July 1st.
this warrant article is intended to affect the law as it currently exists. It's not, this is not dealing with the new law that is being considered.
So do we know the bill number? House
No,
bill or
it's
Senate bill?
it's
House Bill
something
7
from
it's
previous
House Bill
years.
751 FM. And what's the current Oh, sorry, Tom, go ahead.
So, in previous years, open enrollment has been approved. It was in place last year, and it was the execution of billing that occurred because of existing RSA that school districts are reacting with warrant articles this year. The bill that's under consideration would negate and override this, and that's a whole separate issue that we know nothing about.
Right.
So this warrant article is to address the current state of the
right.
law, not anything that's pending or ambiguous.
Or has to survive forward.
Right.
So, because the current law actually says you have to have 2 districts who agree to be open enrollment districts. The problem with that is that there was a lawsuit filed and a judge reinterpreted the law and made districts liable for the cost. So that's
Whether they were open enrollment or not.
whether they were open enrollment or not. So that's that issue, and I appreciate your clarification that this is to address that. The other piece and the timing is a whole different issue, because what is happening in the legislature now is that they added the legislation for open enrollment to a Health and Human Services existing bill as like what is that called, Melanie?
Rider.
Like,
An amendment.
as an amendment or a continuing language. The Senate passed it. It went to the House, and they were trying to push the vote through last week so that it would be implemented faster. And while districts are going through the processes they're going through now, they thought they could affect budget issues and they would have time to budget. Well, it's too late for anybody to budget for anything. Because of the concerns raised by the letter and the questions that Holly referenced among school administrators, boards, and budget committees, it seems that it was slowed down a little bit because they didn't vote on it last week. It doesn't mean it's gone. It doesn't mean that it necessarily is going to a committee of conference, which would kind of get us back on track and enable, but it looks like there's a vote looming. It just wasn't looming last Thursday. So they are looking to move it still sooner rather than later, I think is still a fair statement.
So depending on what the timeline is between now and the district meeting, are there any plans to monitor it closely and make any adjustments to the warrant article itself?
Yes.
I don't know how we'll adjust the warrant article once we vote. Oh,
Yeah, because if the other thing passes.
Yeah.
there's
We
a
could
real-
amend
Well, no, if the law passes, the law is the law, and we don't even need this.
Right.
We'll move to pass over.
To pass
So the law needs to be signed by the governor, ultimately.
Right.
That's what's,
That's the tough part. That's what I'm getting at.
That's what they're trying to get to happen immediately.
That ain't gonna happen.
So this is to deal with the current law as it is, to keep us from ending up with more students than. Yeah.
So I'd like to get on the board here.
Okay, yes.
In the interest of also demonstrating that when you come to the mic at public hearing, you can actually have an effect. We've spent a lot of time kicking and dusting this up. I motion that we change the number of this article from 5 input students in to 4, and we leave the outgoing number at 0.
And do you want to change the 2 per grade to 1 per grade?
Essentially, that's what I'm doing.
Okay,
yes.
so it would change the 5 to 4. So you're making a motion to amend the article, changing the 5 to 4, and changing the 2 non-resident students per grade to 1.
To 1.
Okay. Do we have a second? Beth, is there any discussion on the amendment? Okay. We're gonna be here all night. Okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just, I'm trying to weigh the balance of 4 versus 1. I mean, if we really don't want to have them going in and out, and we're getting a sense that the public doesn't either, should we be doing that as well? I mean, I haven't got a lot of input,
So I
but
feel
all the
like-
input we've gotten has been for 1.
I feel like we changed this. According to Rob, I would say go with Rob's amendment, simplify it. We're there. 4, 1 per grade. The truth of the matter is if this lives because the law is not passed to the meeting, it can be amended by the legislative body at that point. And if there's no law that gets passed to change this, and this is still a legal warrant or article, then it can be amended by the legislative body
At annual meeting.
at annual meeting.
Like, can it be amended by us at the annual
Well,
meeting?
sure, we
Yeah.
can amend it too.
So we could have a second vote tonight for a
Right.
different number.
But I'd like to move forward and have something.
I know, I'm just questioning
Right.
whether
I'm just
the number should be 4 or 1.
I'm
Right.
just putting a
I'm good
better
with 4.
shine on this, and I'm totally fine if somebody wants to change it at annual meeting down.
Yeah.
But the people at annual meeting are looking for us for guidance. And if we
Right.
say
That's
four,
why
then
I'm
they're
making,
gonna
that's
think
why I'm
4,
making this,
right?
I support 1 per
Right.
grade.
And even though I love your rationale for consistency with the Hollis district, I would definitely want to spend time reviewing exactly
Well-
the analysis they did. I support, at this time, the number 1.
Would you like me to chime in?
That'd be great.
So originally, I recommended to Hollis and Brookline 0 in, 0 out because they're faced with space concerns. I find it hard to request an expansion of Hollis Primary School and also say we'd like to take so many students from all over the state. Those are in conflict. But when I heard that 0 in, 0 out meant that would probably not hold up in court, we switched to 1 in. It's much more difficult to fit a student in an elementary school because you have a homeroom and you're with that class the entire day, and you have a cap per class size. And so we would more easily have to add a teacher, whereas at the high school, there's no guarantee that a student coming in would get all the classes they wanted. If we didn't have room in my favorite class, AP Chemistry, then that just wouldn't be offered for, we wouldn't guarantee that they would get every class they wanted. But if we get a second grader, we'd have to guarantee they get second grade. So we have more flexibility at the high school. We also have more room.
Just to piggyback, the recommendation that was made to us by the administration of 5 was made by the same people with the same thought process as the people who made the recommendation of 1 in the elementary school. So it wasn't, the Hollis district thought something different.
It's not disconnect.
When it was presented to us as a school board, and we initially voted to approve putting this on the warrant, it was the same people who said 1 in the elementary schools.
The other issue that I forgot to mention earlier is I don't like the idea of being dependent on a lottery, okay? On a lottery, because if you want to get in and you are not part of the 5 or the number that we set up, people are going to perhaps take some action, some other kind.
So can we move to a vote on the amendment? Are we comfortable with 4 with 1 per grade? All right, I'll just take a vote. Let's vote on the amendment. All those in favor of the amendment? Okay. So that was a 6-0 vote on the amendment. So we'll change the language to 4 and 1 per grade. And then I need a vote on the article as presented. We already have that motion on the floor.
Taking the position of
Yes,
recommending.
right. So all those in favor of recommending?
Do we have that motion already?
Yes, we made the motion, we amended it,
Yeah,
and now
got
we're,
it. Thank you.
okay, so that's 6-0. Okay, moving on, we have, sorry, does the Budget Committee want to take a position on this?
I'm going to look to the Budget Committee to, we had a previous meeting, we said we weren't going to, but I don't know if our kind of mutually, based on the conversation that you heard.
I'm kind of conflicted about whether we're taking a position on it or not, but I do have a question I would like to pose, though. What happens to the money that comes in from these students? Because this is kind of a flow of revenue that comes in that's kind of outside of the budget. Where does that money go? Can it be spent? What happens to it?
We have a tuition line. Would it be captured there?
I would imagine it'd have to be in a different tuition line, but I mean, there's an account group, right, that it would have to go into?
Yeah, and I don't think there's restrictions on how it would be spent, be in the general fund.
Okay, but
Yeah,
it's not necessarily.
It gets added as local, like, to local income or tuition, but you can't spend revenue. It would just increase so where we had estimates of what our revenue would be, at this point, our revenue would be higher.
Okay, so you can't really spend it, but it adds to the total amount of money there that
It would either
you have
increase
left
the
over at
fund
the end of the
balance-
year.
Get returned to the taxpayers.
It would increase the fund balance, and with limitations on it, the idea is that there wouldn't be a financial impact up. If there wasn't limits and, we had 30 students enroll, there'd be increased costs because hiring and things like that. And it'd be used to offset the overruns in the potential budget, but in this situation, other.
Yeah, I thought the budget still set a cap for how much you could spend, though, aside from special funds. So if it doesn't go into a special fund, it goes into a general fund. Aren't you still restricted by the budget, though?
Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Just a question that came to mind based on his question and triggered a thought. I did read that students that come in through open enrollment add to your ADM. How would that be factored into our apportionment?
Well, that is such a good question, and we don't have the answer for that.
No, but when you're having your questions tomorrow, I'm wondering how they would apportion the those students.
That's a good question, and we might have an answer, but
I actually thought that from an adequacy perspective, the count stays with the sending district.
I thought it did too.
It said in the thing that tuition students in are counted as part of your ADM.
So we will have that answer for the meeting. Okay, can we move on? Yes, Melanie? Yeah.
Just want to make a comment.
Yeah, sure, but quickly, please, yeah.
Okay, but this is a preemptive move, so I think it's important
Sure.
that we put a number to it and support this because it is probably going to pass, and we don't want to be forced to take a number. We're giving them a number.
So you would like the budget committee to take a vote?
All right, budget committee's going to take a position. So, at this point, I'll take a motion to recommend petition warrant, Article 6 on open enrollment as amended with, what is it, 0,
No,
sorry.
we went into 4.
4 in, 0 out, 1 per grade level at the high school. From Melanie, seconded by Tony. Any additional comments? All those in favor? Okay, opposed? Okay, 4-1-0.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, so we've got some petition warrant articles, to see if the school district, petition Article 7, to see if the school district will vote to require the Hollis School Board to prominently display, actually, that petition, does it say Hollis School Board or does it say Hollis Brookline School Board?
It says Hollis Brookline.
Okay, and on this it says, so Hollis Brookline School Board to prominently display current and previous year state assessment scores and state rankings on the school district website header, visible on every page, with said information to be updated within 30 days of the official release of scores by the New Hampshire Department of Education. I need a motion to recommend the article.
So moved.
Moved by Beth. I need a second. Rob. Is there any discussion on this?
Well, I would just make a general comment that I would just like to point out that, as usual, all petitioner sponsors and for the petition warrant articles this evening, including the commission that we're going to talk about shortly, are not in attendance tonight to present rationale or take any public input on these initiatives. So I personally find it curious, puzzling, and disappointing. But related to this particular item, I have issue with it because I think having the scores on every single page of our multiple pages on our website, I find it excessive. I do support making it easy to find this information for community members. But I don't see the need to take all this extra action and effort to basically paste it on every possible landing page of our website. So I think that's probably the first issue I have. And I could come up with several more, but I'll just leave it there.
Thank you, Rob. Tom?
In line with the presentation I made tonight, I'm opposed to this because of the data that is being asked to be displayed the numbers that they're asking are the state numbers that we know, especially in the co-op, are not representative of the district performance. And for that reason alone, I think it's propagating misinformation to put that on the website. I'll leave it at that.
I'm just going to comment that if it were on the website, on every single landing page, a prospective home buyer might think that this is a priority of the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District, that it is a metric that is most important to us. And I'm not saying it's not important to us, but I'm not sure if it's our most important metric. And having been a teacher who worked in a school district that specifically focused on getting kids to do better on those kinds of assessments, we were not teaching kids and kids were not learning. They were learning how to take the test. And I really am not a fan of that kind of mentality and that focus. So I'm going to vote no on this.
I just want to comment that this would be advisory only. It's
thank
not
you.
binding. And as I mentioned already, I do have a plan for a data dashboard to be released this summer. So all the data would be readily available and on that homepage of the school.
So is there anyone else with comments? All right, so you are voting to recommend. If you vote yes, I will call the vote. All those in favor? All those opposed? So 06, the school board does not recommend. Are you guys
So are
taking-
we going to put it on
We're
the
not.
thing, the COOP votes 6-0 not to recommend or against?
it get written on there?
The school board
Does
not recommend.
6-0.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, and then moving on, you guys aren't taking a position on that one. Shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 40:13, known as SB2, to allow official ballot voting on all issues before the Hollis Brookline Cooperative School District on the second Tuesday of March? I need a motion. Beth, second.
Second.
Cindy. Is there any comment on this? I think we can just go back in the record and see our comments from the last 10 years. Okay.
Just cut and paste.
Okay, I do want to say, we want our voters to come out and vote. So if, I'm going to call the vote on this. All those in favor of what we call the SB2 article, petition article? All those opposed? And that's 606. I'm
So-
sorry, it's 06.
Similarly, for the Budget Committee, I'll take a motion to recommend Article 8 for SB2 from Brian, seconded by Raul. All those in favor? All those opposed? So the Budget Committee is not recommending.
Right. Article 9 is also by petition. Shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 32:5-E and implement a budget cap whereby the school board or budget committee shall not submit a recommended budget that is higher than $27,500 per pupil cost times the average daily membership and residence of the school district as of October 1st of the year immediately preceding the proposed budget year, plus an annual increase for inflation using CPI-U for the Boston, Cambridge, Newton, Mass, New Hampshire area, published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics as of October 1st, requires a 3/5 majority of the school district. I need a motion.
So moved.
Beth, I need a second.
Second.
Cindy. Yes, Tom.
I just want to, for people who weren't there, in Brookline, they have similar article, and it was amended during the deliberative session because we couldn't take it off. It was amended up to $100,000, just as an indicator of what, and that.
How about $1 million?
Yeah,
That passed
be
for-
careful what you wish for.
Okay.
100,000.
That being said, if there's no further comment on this.
Well, yeah, I do have a comment.
Sure.
But, I think the fact that we have well, first of all, I think this petition makes the budget committee moot. Because it makes it irrelevant. I think what it tends to do is force budgets just to go to the cap. So there's no need to have a conversation. There's no need to really sharpen our pencils and go through 4 rounds of budget building and so forth. We just simplify it for everyone and just peg to the cap. And I don't support that. And I think, again, I want to just point out that I may be slightly biased here, But the Budget Committee, I think, does an outstanding job at their analysis and bringing forth guidance for us to meet. And I think also, we could also show through metrics that, you know, with inflation-adjusted numbers, that our budgets have been in line and within a reasonable amount of growth. And I'm worried that this type of petition just makes all that work and collaboration useless.
Thank you
So
for that, Rob.
I will not be supporting this, just to, if anyone was, you know, if I was ambiguous in any way.
I just want to second that I do think I'm very appreciative of our budget committee and the work that they do and the guidance they give us. So, that being said, we'll take a vote. A vote yes is to recommend. All those in favor? All those opposed? So, 0-6.
So I'll take a motion to recommend the petition, Article 9, the petition warrant article for a budget cap. From Raul, seconded by Tony. Any comments?
I just want to echo his comments. And I'm going
Ditto.
to double it. Okay?
So all those in favor of recommending the budget cap? Please vote. All those opposed? So the budget committee is not recommending by a vote of 5-0-0.
0-5-0.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
It's the not recommended.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Article 10, shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 32:5V-B requiring that the annual budget and all special warrant articles having a tax impact as determined by the school board shall contain a notation stating the estimated tax impact of the article. The determination of estimated tax impact shall be subject to the approval by the governing body. I need a motion.
So moved.
Beth, second? Second.
Can I second it?
Oh, okay, Amy. I think we sometimes struggle to put these on the floor. So, okay, are there any comments? Okay, all those in favor? All those opposed? 0-6.
Similarly, for the budget committee, motion to recommend Article 10, putting the tax cap notation on the warrant.
I'll make a motion to recommend.
By Raul, seconded by Tony. Any comments?
I have a question. Can you elaborate on why we wouldn't? Can someone share?
It's really, the law is very, the way it's been explained to us in the, I don't know, 5 to 8 times this has come forward. The way our attorney has explained it is that the information is, what you're allowed to put on the article is very limited. There's no point of comparison. You can't say it's X% higher or lower than a prior year. I think we do an excellent job of sharing estimated tax cap information here at the public hearing and at the district meeting, and we put it in context to what people will see on their bill. The other problem with the co-op is you cannot find a co-op tax rate on your bill. You can't do it. It's combined with the local school rate for the elementary districts. So really, there's just a lot of explanation that needs to go with what you would compare it to know if you're making an informed decision.
Sounds good to me.
And I think on top of that, first of all, our presentations at the district meeting have all that data already. Second of all, if you try to present a number, there may be arguments with that number, and there may be some people that won't like that number. And so, because there's not enough explanation behind the number, then there may be some confusion or people not liking it. So I think this just complicates the whole process.
There's also legislation that says if you have passed an article like this to put tax cap information on the budget, if you are in multi-year contracts, you would need to put the tax information, the estimated information, for all the years of the contract. So there's a lot that goes into estimating a tax cap, a tax impact, and to project that then out 2 to 3 years, your assumption set is really, it becomes more frail the further that you go out. You have to make a baseline assumption that says, oh, for the past X years, we've assumed whatever % change in valuation. I'll just continue to assume that. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you be really conservative and you say, you know what, I think I'm going to leave it where it is. It would be the like worst case scenario. And so you're really not, you know, the best information we have is for the 1 year that we're going out, not 2 or 3 years of a contract or potentially, you know, we have in the past for bonds and long-term debt, we have provided information about like what we've estimated the impacts to be for the outer years, but those things go out 20 years. The co-op also has an issue with apportionment. Any tax rate that we put out going forward over a 5-year period, we can, I think we're in the 2nd year of that 5-year period. So for the next 3 years, we could say, okay, we know what the apportionment's going to be. We would just have to assume that going forward, but apportionment can change at year 10, 15, or 20. And so, you know, there are all these other implications as well.
So it sounds like it would be something very easy, but it is very.
It isn't, and we do share that information. We provide it here, we provide it at the meeting, it's posted to the website, and we really do provide the best information that we can to inform voters of how the co-op, how the co-op is affected and how it fits within the whole, the composite bill.
And I think
So.
Plus or minus percentages, you know, give or take something. And it gets ridiculous because it's an estimate of an estimate.
Brian?
So I've supported this in the past, and I'm going to continue to support it now as well. The issues that you raise are fairly minor, really. I mean, yes, you have to have separate tax rates for Brookline versus Hollis, because the impacts of that are different. But when you calculate a tax rate, it's, you know, it's the price per $1,000 of evaluation. Those are not very fine numbers. They are very vague. they're very generalized. It takes a huge amount of money to change at 1 cent of that. So, okay, to me, the value of having this on there is that, and we put it on there for the warrant artists for the presentation, but it gives people a sense of the scope of what they're looking at. It's a rough estimate of the scope. So I'm going to continue to support it, but that's respectfully, but that's my explanation for why.
If
We already voted, didn't we?
We did.
If this
Tom's
were-
also a member of the
No, I
budget.
just wanna
Oh, that's
say-
right, sorry.
He can go twice as much.
If this
How
were,
soon we forget.
if we were an SB2 district, I could certainly see the reason for it, because there is no other access to anything. But where we are currently a district meeting district, the difference between having it on the ballot versus getting it in the context of our presentation is huge. So as long as we remain a meeting district, I will continue to advocate for it.
Against it.
Advocate for it being left off.
Okay.
Even though I can't vote.
Okay. Okay, so all those in favor of recommending that the tax cap notation be included on the warrant?
Or tax notation, not cap.
I'm sorry, yeah, tax cap is the next one. Tax notation, thank you. All those opposed? So it's 1-4-0, Budget Committee will not be recommending.
Okay, and then Article 11, by petition, shall we adopt the provisions of RSA 32:5-B and implement a tax cap whereby the governing body or budget committee shall not submit a recommended budget that increases the amount to be raised by local taxes this year's base that is higher than the prior fiscal year's actual amount of local taxes raised, last year's base, adjusted for inflation using the inflation index CPI-U for the Boston, Cambridge, Newton, Mass, New Hampshire area published by the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics, and change in attendance in accordance with RSA 32:5-B, I-B. I need a motion.
So moved.
By Beth, second
Second.
by Cindy. Is there any comments? Okay, all those in favor of recommending? All those opposed? So the school board does not recommend.
So for the Budget Committee, I'll take a motion to recommend Article 11 for the tax cap. By Raoul, seconded by Tony. Any comments? Seeing none, all those in favor of recommending the article? Opposed? Budget Committee is not recommending by a vote of 5 to not recommend.
Okay, and then finally, we'll put a motion on the floor about the Charter Commission. We can still talk about it, but the petition warrant article reads, shall a Charter Commission be established for the, it reads on the ballot, shall a Charter Commission be established for the purpose of establishing a municipal charter? I need a motion to recommend the petition warrant article on the official ballot.
So moved.
Moved by Beth, and I need a second. Second by Cindy. Is there any further discussion on this or comments?
I would just add to our previous discussion that, to my mind, and I've reviewed the questions we sent to legal counsel and the responses we got. So, and I feel the conversation we had earlier is consistent with my understanding of reading that content. So to my mind, this just adds an unnecessary layer of governance to the co-op, in that it is really not clear to me what the point of having this commission for. What problem are they trying to solve? It's completely unclear to me. So I only see this as just another backdoor to SB2, and it's just a strategy. It's another avenue. So I just think this is silly.
So I'm going to follow up with, I've done an extensive look. Don't have it in front of me, but last year I did, at the vote that we've had on SB2. SB2 has been on the ballot and it lost. It's been
Resoundingly.
It lost resoundingly. It's been in the meeting and it's lost resoundingly. But really the most significant vote, I think, is when we look back on our drive-through vote in June of 2020, when people could literally drive up, register, and vote. You couldn't get a more convenient way of voting. And
All day.
It was an all day. It was like two or 3 hour voting period, but it was like,
Felt
it was
like
on
a
a
day.
Saturday. It was drive up, check in. It was a crazy day, but we did it during 2020, and it lost resoundingly on that day. I wish I had brought the numbers. This is exactly what Rob described it as, a backdoor to SB2. I thought originally that Charter Commission had a lot more flexibility and we could, do a lot of different things, and I would have supported it if it could. But what I've learned is that it really is just either move the warrant, move the monetary articles, and I certainly don't want to go that direction because
SB2
Drew
or
would have
SB2 light?
Yeah, SB2 light. We would have multiple meetings, and it could be chaos. So I am not voting for this. Yeah. So, any other comments? Okay, school board members, all those in favor? All those opposed? So 06, I don't know how we get that recorded, but we will try to get it out to the community that we didn't recommend it. Are you
Do
guys?
we vote on this?
I'm going to look to the Budget Committee for, okay. So I'll take a motion from the Budget Committee to recommend the Charter Commission petition article. From Raoul, seconded by Tony. Any discussion?
I want to make a comment that is, on a lighter note, for people who complain that our once-a-year meeting is too long and too difficult, instead of trying to improve that, this seems to make it more difficult. Now that you have one meeting, we're going to have 2 meetings now, or two times to deal with this. So I'm opposed to it.
Anything else? Seeing no comments, all those in favor of recommending the Charter Commission article? All those opposed? So Budget Committee is not recommending by vote of five votes. 0, 5, 0, 5, 0, 0. So vote to not recommend.
I'm hoping Dawn's catching a lot.
She'll get it. Okay.
One other comment in general. If we had the people who are proposing these things come and have a conversation with us, I will be more amenable to listening and to accepting. But when we don't see them for a whole year and then we have a drop of warrant articles shortly before the district meeting, that to me is unacceptable.
It's governance
I-
by petition.
So
It makes
at
it very
this- so at
difficult
this-
for me to support
Brian.
something
Brian.
like that.
I want to expand on that. What I would really like is for the people who are making the laws to come in, our representatives, to come in and talk to us about these things before they do them, and to take our considerations
Yeah.
as part of that.
Great point.
I'd like to make a suggestion that we invite them. So.
I think they've been. Okay, so you guys are adjourning,
So
right?
yes, I'll take a motion to adjourn the budget committee at 9:04 PM.
Make a motion.
Seconded by Raul, seconded by Tony. All those in favor? Thank you. 500.
Okay.
Budget committee is adjourned, but you're welcome to
Have a
stay
good
and
night.
listen to
Does
the rest of the
does
meeting
the
if
school
you want.
board need a quick recess? Or are you okay?
Soldier on. We have some really
Do
interesting
we have to take
policy
official
discussions.
recess or go?
Don't want to miss.
We have a few.
Public hearing stuff or?
No, we're back in our meeting, so.
What else do you have to do?
You'll go, it's okay. All right.
Do you want to post all the petition warrants?
A rare appearance. A rare appearance.
Post where? I'm sorry. Do I want to put? Yes.
Thank you. Good night.
Thank you. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Holly, do we have non-public?
Do we have non-public tonight? Not that I know. No.
Yeah.
There was a comment earlier to post the petition warrant article.
Yeah.
Do we want to post all of them or just the charter?
Oh, we want maybe separate the charter. Yeah, oh, they want it. Oh, I don't know. Tom, was it Tom who asked? I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Go ahead, talk.
Probably want to recess.
That's a very nice.
Post them all.
idea.
Post them all.
Okay.
Petitions, all the.
Lauren, do you mind?
Post them all. Petitions and everything. Thank you. I mean, they're public.
I gotta stretch my legs. Hey, good night.
Because they have to be verified.
Okay.
Okay.
Their recommendation on
Hello. Where did we come?
on the ballot. They got sued for putting their recommendation on the ballot. And
I'm
they
listening,
won.
Joan.
They
Oh, they
won.
won, okay, so.
So
we
you
can-
can put.
Well, it's
you-
too late, we don't have it on the ballot, but we can.
It's not necessarily too late. You could get the ballots reprinted. I mean, obviously, it's too late for this meeting, but they won. The case law.
Our general, if you guys are here for like the next thing, I think. I'm sorry, I could have, thank you. You know what? That's really
Moral
nice of you to
support.
hear. Yeah. So honestly, I think what you
Are we,
experience is.
are we back?
Are we back on?
No.
Yeah, okay, we're on. We're on. Everyone have a seat, please. We're back to order. Bump, bump, bump. Do I need a gavel? No, gentlemen, I do thank you for staying. It gives you a little taste of what you'll be seeing on March 19th. Okay, so moving on to our agenda. We've covered all of our discussion items and we're up to deliberative items. We've passed the public hearing. Oh, public input closed. Public input's closed. And at 8:20, oh no, so the first deliberative item, okay, Tom, we're starting and you
Yeah, we got
have
it.
comments about the first deliberative item. To see what action the board will take regarding the proposed Hollis Brookline Cooperative School oh, that's the wrong thing. We did all that, sorry. To see what action the board will take regarding Model UN field trip. So there was a request made and it is not quite in the same timeline that we always have, but it is more immediate, so we decided to take it up, right? It's, the date of the proposed travel is the 20th, right, of March. So,
Need a motion?
I need a motion to approve the request for the Model UN Club to attend the Model United Nations Conference hosted by Boston College, March 20th, 26th through March 22nd, 26. I need a motion. Motion by Rob, second by Beth. You guys went backwards today. Okay.
Too fast.
We're mixing it up.
Okay. So, are there any questions on this, or Jake sent us an email about it?
I was just looking to clarify that the funding is 100% coming out of the organization and they're not looking for any additional support?
Correct. So this is a co-curricular club. They've raised $2,400 already through fundraising and donations. They decided as a group they could have gone to a local one. They decided, no, we prefer to go to the Boston one. It's a better experience. We'll pay any extra costs associated with the registration fees out of the students that are electing to go. It's not required that they go. And they are going to use our van for transportation, so that is not going to be an extra cost for them.
Is there common understanding among the potential students to participate that funds will be made available to them to participate, that funding their personal money is not going to be a gate to someone attending?
Correct, yes.
Okay. All those in favor? 6-0, that passed. Okay. Next is our policy memo. I'm sorry, my hand doesn't move as quickly.
Can we let them go now?
What, yes, please leave.
Yeah.
Please leave. I mean, you
Unless
guys are
you
welcome.
insist otherwise.
I don't think that there's anything on the policy memo that the principals need to stay for.
Yeah, I might have this tiny question, but Gina might be able to answer it just
Right.
under one of the.
Okay, so let's get to the
It's
motion.
super fast.
Where is the motion? Okay. I'm sorry, I can't find the motion. All right. So I need a motion to accept the policy memo as presented.
So moved.
Moved by Rob, second by Beth. Okay, just quickly to go through the policy memo. We usually do this quickly. I'm sorry, I'm not fast right now. We are presenting for third read and adopt with minor changes JICN prohibition of digital deception and other media. Dot or Amy or anyone, what were the minor changes?
The minor grammar changes, moving some lowercase to capital letters and changing in the underneath potential to harm, the word causing to cause.
Okay. And then we are presenting for second read with minor changes JLCE, EBBC, emergency care and first aid, and JLCD, administering medication to students. This is a second read with minor changes, nothing substantive.
JLCE/EBB does have one sentence on the second page, 1, 2, 3, 4, be the fifth paragraph, right above the Narcan line. Reads, the district makes it possible for parents and guardians to subscribe to student accident insurance at low rates. This program is offered each year during September. The district does not provide student accident insurance.
And just to clarify, that sentence was previously in the policy, we just moved the location.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, great.
And we're removing appendix, under legal references, the appendix JLCE-R.
Okay. Are there any questions or comments on either one of those that are for second read? Yes?
That's what I wanted to ask, under the Narcan, I just wanted to ask, and that's why I called for a second, just when it says that medication like Narcan needs to be stored in a secure place, like, this may have been discussed, but when you say secure, like, you know, we have emergency meds at both the schools, like asthma medications, they're secured because they're in a school nurse's office that does have a locking door, but they're not secured like double lock. Like Narcan is something like you want to get at very fast if you need, so I just wasn't sure if secured, like if there was any need, and it's just something maybe for the committee to.
So we'll look at, like, that's a really good comment.
And I didn't know if that had come and you guys had discussed that, because if that
No.
happened, so that was one.
So we'll make a note of that and to, you know, address that for the next meeting because it's second read.
Yep, because I know
So-
you guys are all private. And then the one other question, and this is definitely a take back, the last line, local law enforcement and emergency medical personnel will be notified if such medication is administered by the district. this is a comment, like, I would highly recommend you put some kind of timeline in there. You shouldn't contact them next week, you should contact them, especially emergency
Okay.
medical, so
that's
there's
fair.
no timeline in
Okay,
there.
that's perfect, sure, thank you.
Like, the secured one makes me nervous too, just because it should be secure, but it shouldn't be too secure.
Like
Yeah.
secure enough that people can't just
Yeah.
get to it, but not so
Correct.
secure that the nurse
Correct.
can't get
But
to it
not
when she needs it.
inaccessible.
Right, and
Accessible and
yeah,
secure. I
just
gotcha.
like, not to like kill,
Secured
like,
and
not to
accessible.
over, like, I don't want to take any more time, but like the asthma medications are very accessible in the offices, but we do store controlled medications. Those are accessible, they're secured, but they're really secure
Right.
behind locks, so it's easy,
Right.
that's fine, but I just worry when you say secure, like, so, my suggestion is like define that a little bit more, or like at least, and there might be more procedural for that, but the
Okay.
time should be in when we notify, in my
Okay.
opinion, for that.
Okay, thank you. So we'll make a note of that and make those changes. Okay, and then for first read, it's BEDB, which is agenda preparation and dissemination, and I was hoping someone could speak to this.
I can speak to this.
Thank you.
So for this, the bulk of the content remains the same as we had already in place. When reviewing it, I noticed that a couple of pieces should be altered. On page 2 of the policy, the supporting materials should be disseminated 3 days prior. It was 7. Legally, I don't have to have any of the supporting materials. I just have to have the agenda posted for 48 hours. So I felt that 3 days was more appropriate because sometimes the materials are still being prepared. Moving on to the next paragraph. When the final agenda has been established, it will be made available to the public, posted on the district's website. We don't make the public request the agenda. It's just available, so I thought that was an appropriate change. And then finally, the biggest change would be the addition right at the end of a consent agenda. And this would be at school board meetings to cover the following actions: accepting resignations and or nominations for professional staff persons when supported by written documentation. So the idea would be you would be provided with a list of resignations, retirements, and nominations with the name of the individual, the salary, for nominations like this, all the information that we typically go through, but it would be one lump approval. So that would help speed up the process at meetings as we go through, rather than reading through all of the letters of resignation or time. I think it would also assist our recording secretary when trying to gather that information and capture it.
Are there any questions or comments? Tom?
I'm not in favor of reducing the advance time on the agenda and the packet. I like having it, getting it the week before, especially because if we get it 3 days before, that's basically Sunday or Monday for a Wednesday meeting. If I'm going to have a chance to read it in advance, it's usually going to be on the weekend before. If it's unreasonable to do so, then at a minimum I would like to have the agenda and any available documents done 7. I'm more likely to accept the fact that something comes in late than to have the deadline moved, because I think if the deadline is moved, that will become the norm.
Sure, let me clarify. The intent was so that we're not violating a policy if a component of the agenda was late. So right now, we post the agenda on Thursday for a Wednesday meeting. So we're already doing 6 days instead of 7 like the policy states.
So what I'd like to do is a compromise and split this. I'd like it to be that the agenda is posted 7 days before a meeting, but materials, supported materials would have 3 days. And I understand what you're saying,
Yeah, no,
but
I
even
think
you
that's a
would have,
reasonable compromise.
right, even today, we didn't have, we got the presentation, the data presentation today. So
And I understand,
yeah.
in fact, there's no.
I don't want to break policy.
There's
like-
no requirement that any supporting material be put in there. So from that standpoint.
Right.
I would be fine if the policy did not even require supporting material.
Yeah, we could also consider that,
I
check
would,
that out.
I would like to
Right.
have it,
Right.
and I don't think there's any good reason in most instances to withhold it.
Right.
But
I just
would
don't want
li-
to be against policy.
Yeah, I would like to get as much information as early as possible.
Okay, so we will address that a little bit more in policy and talk more about whether or not we even want the packet in the policy.
Yeah, that was not the intention.
Okay.
To change.
Okay.
And the only other
What we do.
comment I have is, when this was being explained to me, I was told that one of the goals was to tighten up the expectations or lack thereof of individual letters and stuff being read entirety in part. I don't understand how this accomplishes that. Because the policy as it existed before did not make any reference to those the specific
To
documents.
reading letters, right.
And it still doesn't. You know, if you want to control that, I would suggest potentially adding a line that say, individual letters and stuff will not be included in it.
Okay. Thank you for that feedback. Appreciate it. All those in favor of first read, and we will always, the policy committee will also accept emails, if you have more information that you want. All those in favor of first read? And that is a 6-0. So first read, we're through. Okay, I think that's it. I have to bounce back. My left hand does not like to do that. So I think we are done, right? I just need a report out from the process observer.
Well,
One question.
Sure.
Can we get a copy of Darlene's slideshow before the meeting? Because last year I was downloading it the night of the meeting because we didn't have it. I mean, we don't need it now because she's probably going to do some stuff to it, but.
I don't think it's posted
It's
yet.
not.
No, I know it's not
Right.
posted yet, but it's before the March meeting,
Could
when
we-
we get,
It more than the day of.
Yeah.
Earlier than the day of.
I would love to.
okay.
We
I
can request
understand.
it, we can request it. Oh, one other thing is, the young lady who was speaking to me during the break, she had a copy of the warrant. And I don't know when she got it or where she got it, but it did not have the addition, I don't know if you read it, that had the middle school at 0 for going out. It only had the middle school 0 middle school 0 coming in. Can we check to see that any places that we have it posted that it has the?
So the warrant, I asked specifically the question. The way that it's written right now, it says that 100% of eligible resident pupils permitted to attend HBHS and 0% of its resident pupils in grades 7 through 12 can go out. So the assumption is 100% of eligible resident pupils can attend HBMS, but we're only establishing the high school as the open enrollment school, so therefore it doesn't mention the middle school. I asked legal about it because I said we're forgetting the middle school here, and that was the response, that it's just that the high school was identified as the open enrollment with 1, 4, or 5, or
But
however
doesn't
many
that leave us vulnerable in the same way as if we had not done it? I mean,
Well, the co-op is allowing open enrollment just in one school. I mean, it would be like the elementary school saying we'll take kids in Hughes, but we won't take kids in the primary school.
For example, like Goffstown is looking at a warrant article that creates Goffstown as a
Okay.
as
Then
open
in the
enrollment,
pres-
but they
then
only
in-
allow kindergarten.
Then if you've got clear legal backup that you're confident in that, then I recommend that it be explicitly stated in the explanation.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
Articulated, because
okay.
that
We
was
have work
a-
to do on that.
I have a non-policy item, but very quickly.
We're just moving to the process observer, so you're good.
Okay, so one other thing is, this has been a past practice with other superintendents in SAU 41. We have an annual meeting coming up, as everyone is well aware. I'm interested in what members feel about having the superintendent speak to a year in review of the co-op, what we've done with your tax dollars, how have we, taking tax dollars and turn that into value and have an opportunity to promote not only the gracious money that has been given us, but what we do with it and what we turn it into. Yeah, well, whatever it takes.
It has to be brief,
It
but
could
it
be,
can
it could be a video,
Right.
a prepared video that works very well. 3 minutes,
You gonna hire a videographer? No, I'm prepared to speak.
whatever you want to do, however you do it, but let's
And-
take the opportunity to shamelessly self-promote.
And the board supports that. Okay. And, right, does the board support that? Yes, okay. Yeah, and I've already spoken to the moderator, so.
So time for report out?
Yes, please, but I feel like there's something else. Mr. Garuba brought up that, Kearsarge, sorry, New Hampshire. They put their recommendation on the ballot against the Charter Commission. They were sued and they won, according to him. I have to follow up. And so if we felt strongly that we wanted the recommendation to, our non-recommendation to be on the ballot, we could potentially ask to reprint the ballots.
I'm not sure I understand what you just said. What happened?
They did put, Kearsarge, when they went through this, put that the school district
It
or
was a
whatever the
petition
district.
warrant
was-
article?
They had I guess so. You just said they put that they didn't recommend it. I don't know if it was the select board, I don't know if it was a school board, right? School district. They did not recommend the Charter Commission, and they put that on there. It passed anyway. They were sued, but they won. So
Who's they?
The board was sued and they won.
Can we get a little
What-
more information?
I can get more information.
The
I
board
just-
was sued and they were acquitted, you mean? Is that what
Right,
you
they
mean?
were, they didn't, the board won, like the judge said, you could do it. You
Oh,
were,
so-
you
so
were
the-
allowed to
oh,
put it
So they
on
were
the-
sued saying they weren't allowed to put the, okay, I didn't understand what they were
Right,
sued
right,
for.
So it's just a potential, I guess, if we felt really strongly that it would be important for it to be on the ballot, that we don't recommend it, we could potentially make a motion here to put it on the ballot if it's legal, and then, we could ask
So I'd like to make that motion.
we could ask the town to reprint the ballots. I think we would incur the
If it's
expense.
practicable to
Right.
do it, I think having our voice on the ballot brings a lot of weight and insight.
So we could make a motion to ask the superintendent to
Reprint
see if
the
that
ballot.
could be done, and,
Do we have any idea?
And
how
that would
much it
also,
costs?
that would also include the budget committee's position, correct? Because they did take a position on that.
they did take a position on that. I mean.
Well,
you
I would
probably-
include their position as well.
Yeah. So we could make a motion that we support the superintendent looking into that, and I don't know how much it would cost.
I wouldn't say even looking into it, I would say.
Do it.
Looking into it, and if permissible, doing it, because we
Right.
don't have any time to meet.
Regardless if we incur a cost. Is there a cost limit that you're willing to? $1 million.
So we have a.
We have no idea how much.
I have no
it costs.
idea.
Yeah, we have no idea
I'll go 5.
to put a limit on it, but I
I'll go
think
5
that,
grand.
I think that there's a lot of people that,
5,000 you
that's
think it would cost?
where they're gonna make a decision is what the board recommends and they don't recommend. So
Yeah.
I think it's valuable to put it on there.
Yeah, and I think we can provide the funds for it. What do you think it would
It
cost
just seems like
to
a
print it?
harmless. It seems harmless.
I don't know
if
how
you're
many
looking
she
at the
printed
ballot,
already.
like,
It is like
without-
paper.
Well, not only that, but the petitioner warrant people are all about putting extra stuff on the ballot. So they
So-
would, I expect them to be resounding
Could you
support.
imagine it being more than $5,000?
I mean, no, I can't imagine.
I mean, it was
You can't imagine because you don't know.
$1,200 to print something in the newspaper.
That's true.
right?
Yeah,
So-
to put our
How about no more
mandatory
than
report to
7,500?
voters.
I think, you guys choose the number. I think you choose it and.
All right, no more than 10. Let's just get it in.
Okay, so Rob, you make a motion.
Yes.
to
And that motion would be?
That the superintendent.
To give the
That the
superintendent
superintendent
permission to ask
Direct the
about
superintendent
to investigate having the ballots reprinted with the
position.
Thank you. Position of both school board and budget committee on the new printed ballots, and not to exceed costs of up to $10,000 or up to $10,000.
Can I suggest say at a
Okay.
cost of up to $10,000 without additional approval?
Yes, yes, I like that.
Let's hope it's not $10,000.
10,001.
The worst that happens is you come back and you say it's going to be 15, and we decide if we want to have a special meeting to approve.
I will
cannot
personally
be more than
drive to the SAU and put the dollar on the table just for you.
Okay.
Well, it's only one form, I mean, the rest of it's fine.
Yeah, they don't,
It's one
it's just
page.
the one page.
So
It's-
I cannot
I don't think it's
imagine
gonna be
$10,000.
$10,000. I don't think it's gonna be
I mean,
that.
if she had to do the whole reprint.
But it goes to both towns, right?
Goes to
Right,
both
it's
towns,
both
right.
towns, so.
It
So,
is the
fancy
co-op
paper.
ballot, so it has the
Nice color.
election of
Fancy paper.
officers and
Very
the
nice.
charter.
I was just gonna say, I
SB
totally
too?
support this in theory. I'm not gonna support
I think it's gonna be the, it used to be like
right, that's okay,
That's fine.
that's okay.
Philosophical.
That's okay, that's fine,
Sticking to
okay.
your
So can I call the, is there any more discussion? Beth is
I hope
is
not.
not going to vote for it, but the rest of us, all those in favor? And opposed? Okay, we're 5-1 on that one, so that gives you enough direction. Okay, that being said, quick process observer
Yeah.
report?
As you all know, we ran a little long. The biggest area that we exceeded was in our discussions during deliberation, particularly about our positions. So I guess the learning thing is we should anticipate a long-winded board. And the fact that we had the budget committee here as well, I'm not sure that was taken into account in the scheduling.
Well, in some ways, though, we saved time because the petitioners did not come, and I
Right,
wish
right.
they had, and they didn't do a presentation,
But
so.
we had a
it's-
compressed schedule. We started that deliberation at 7:54 as opposed to 8:20 and still.
Right, still went
included
over.
So the deliberation is what.
No.
Took long.
Gotcha.
Okay. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
It's moved by Rob and seconded by Beth. All those in favor? I think Beth voted.
I did.
6-0. Okay.
Gina, sorry for giving you extra work.